Let's go.
Hey everybody, happy Thursday.
What's up?
How are you guys all doing? It's been a week.
It's been 1 week since you.
Oh, you always break out into song, don't you?
I'm a songy kind of guy.
Yeah. So many great people are already on. Welcome. Okay, so first of all, congrats to Nick P, as I said before, for having his first shot tomorrow. That is awesome. We are extremely jealous of you, but really happy for you.
Yeah.
And then hello to Kim M, Mary Ellen Dillon, Eric B, another Eric B, Ronnie Dove, Julia Daniese, Tommy Dodson's on,
What's up,
Lori
Tommy?
Sims is on, Iggy's on. Hello.
What's up, Iggy?
Hello, Iggy in Torre Don Jimeno. I assume you're there, although you did not tell us this week, so maybe you're not there today.
Awesome. Could be anywhere.
How's everybody doing? We've been out and about this week, so we've been doing pretty good.
Yeah, we did things.
We did things.
Did some stuff.
We're gonna chat with you guys all about them. Yeah. So, Derek, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
You have less hair than last week.
I got a haircut. So I went to. Yes. Last time she got a haircut, this time I got a haircut.
That's true. Last week I had just gotten a haircut.
It was very nice. The way that it was set up was it was in its own enclosed room. There was only one chair, me and the barber dude, which was a lot of fun. It was kind of cool. And he's from Argentina, so we actually talked a lot about Argentina, so that was really fun.
Yeah.
Because that's where we honeymooned. We honeymooned in South America, in Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile. So we talked quite a bit about it. He's from Cordoba, and it was funny because he was telling me about there's actually like an Argentinian restaurant here in town, and he knows those people because they're also from Cordoba. And then there's a Mexican restaurant here that's actually Argentinian.
Oh, secrets.
Yes.
You got let in on the
He's like, if you
secret
go,
info.
he's like, there's empanadas on the menu, and everybody that works there, Argentinian.
There you go.
So I was like, nice.
Nice. Well,
So there we go.
a couple more folks are saying hi as well. Alan A, my dad, says hi from Chicago.
What's up, Alan?
He's ready to change the clocks back. That's actually something I was going to touch on. So we'll get to that in a second. Shady Hill Homestead, hi, welcome.
What up? Shady Hill.
Tommy says that he's on his second dose for them is on Tuesday. You guys, I'm so jealous of all of you. So many people getting their vaccines, and none of them are me. Hopefully someday I'll qualify. Kim says, my 94-year-old grandmother gets her first dose next week. Wow, that took a long time. I have a feeling Canadians will be waving to the airplanes flying overhead this summer and fall. Yikes. It sounds like it's taken a little bit more time up there. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But maybe you guys will get a big push, big rush on it. Everyone's kind of sharing their vaccine stories. We don't have one.
Nope, but Mr. Dan. What's up, Mr. Dan?
Hi,
Welcome.
Mr. Dan. So what else? Okay, so as you guys probably see in the topic or the subject of this live stream, we're going to share some of our thoughts, our takeaways, our fun times from visiting 3 national parks this week.
3.
Which ones did we go to?
We went to Capitol Reef. We went to Bryce Canyon, and we went to Zion this week. And it's funny because we before we went, we actually went to Barnes and Noble, and we were looking at my hair. Wow. Okay. We went to the bookstore. We went to the travel section. We started looking at like books on national parks and everything. And I opened up a map showing all the national parks, and I looked at Utah. And we didn't realize this, but legitimately all 5 of the national parks in Utah just are on this like diagonal line. You could just draw almost like a straight line of them from like south to north, like
Sort of, yeah. In the book, makes it look that way.
Yeah, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
we basically covered the 3 southernmost parks, which are all kind of close to St. George. They're all driving distance. So the furthest one is Capitol Reef, and that's about a 3.5 hour drive from St. George, which is a little long if you want to do it as just a day trip from here and come back and sleep in, wherever you're staying as your home base in St. George. Because it'd be 3.5 hours there, 3.5 hours back, and then you'd also, however long you want to spend exploring the park. And then Bryce Canyon, I think you can get to in about 2 hours, 2.5 hours from here. And then Zion's only an hour away. So they're all very easy to get to from St. George.
Yes. So we got to all 3, and we're going to tell you guys about it, but we're going to wait maybe a couple minutes and just fill you all in on a few
What's
other
up,
things.
Ermi?
Hi, Ermi. And then Troy's on too. Hello, guys. Welcome.
Troy.
Okay, so just wanted to kind of, just as we wait for a few folks, hopefully more to join and everything, I wanted to commemorate today because 1 year ago today, Derek and I fell asleep in our hotel room in Amsterdam. And we woke up.
We went to sleep and we're like, the world's good. Everything's fine.
Well, we were having a fine time.
We were having a blast in Amsterdam.
Yep. And then
we were like the only tourists there.
Around 2 a.m., we start getting, our phones start to vibrate a little bit. And I hear it, and it kind of wakes me up, and I'm like, I'll look at that, and then it just keeps happening.
Whereas I just threw my phone across the room. I'm like,
And thank God for all of our family and friends watching out for us because, they did, enough of them did it that it finally just woke me up and I started looking at my phone and I had, I think it was 27 text messages to get home.
Yeah. Well, because what happened was that was the evening when the former president had announced, that the borders were shutting down and all this stuff, and nobody really knew what that meant. And so all of a sudden, people were like, "Oh my God, you might get stuck in Europe and you can't come home."
Yeah. So it's been a year
Yeah.
since us trying to scramble
home.
rebook
Yes.
our flights home. And I know for all of you guys, you're feeling that year too. And I just want to say our hearts are with you because we have great memories of our trip to Amsterdam, but then the second half was just kind of taken up by all of the chaos, and it's been chaos kind of in the travel world ever since. And I know all of you guys have felt it in one way or another. And we're just grateful for the community that you guys have all helped us build and create over the past year to get us all through. We're all passionate travelers, and we're just so grateful. So this also kind of marks the start of our live streaming. So it's been kind of a year since we started live streaming. I actually looked this up today, and I think our first traveler live stream was March 17th of 2020. And so, we wanted to just start connecting with all of you guys and start connecting with fellow travelers who were feeling the same feelings as us. And
here
you are.
What I will say is that we've loved the past year, we've hated the past year. It's been good, it's been bad, but what I will say is that it's brought us to all of you guys. So
absolutely,
it's been all in all.
So we wanted to take some time and just say thank you for the past year. You guys have helped get us through and help us keep the travel passion alive.
Yes.
Hello to Mark Finley. I know the Finleys are all on their way to Hawaii right now. I wish you guys best travels, safe travels. I know Hawaii's...
Mark says 14 hours from now.
Yeah, okay. So it sounds like you have a little bit of ways away to get there. My best friend, who you guys just met on this channel this week, she actually had her layover in Maui last night and was at a hotel in Maui and texted me a screenshot of the storm alert that she got on her phone, and it basically said only leave your hotel or residence for essential purposes.
Wait, there's a storm in Hawaii?
Huge storm. Yeah. So she got to watch from a high-rise hotel, and she watched it roll in and stuff. But scary things. It sounds like you're gonna miss that storm though, most likely, and hopefully have clear skies for your trip. So yeah.
Mark, that the whole thing about leaving on a jet plane, all of a sudden just like leaving on a
Yep. I'm sure that's what he was quoting.
I'm sure it was too, but now it's like in my head.
Oh.
She's gonna be listening to it all night.
I'm excited to see the Finley's photos from Hawaii.
Yeah.
And they all got their tests and everything too. That's one thing that Rachel was telling me kind of off camera is she likes working the Hawaii flights right now too because it feels like everybody's been tested recently. So it feels
to get
really
on the plane,
safe and
you
secure.
really have to,
Yeah. Anyway, well, I guess let me mention that. So hopefully you guys all noticed that I put out a new video yesterday. Hopefully a lot of you were able to watch. So it's been a long time coming that I wanted to interview Rachel, who's my best friend, who's a flight attendant for a U.S.-based carrier. And I put out, I think it was like a little under 2 weeks ago, a really quick turnaround request to you guys on social media and on YouTube for questions that you have for flight attendants, and I got so many great ones. I was able to do a 30-minute interview. So it was just super fun to have her on the channel. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed that interview. I certainly did. I know I'm biased, but I loved doing it. I loved editing it. And I loved sharing it with Rachel and then all of you guys too. So if you want to have her back on the channel, let me know. If you have more questions, let me know, because I think she is amenable to making that happen, and it'd be really cool to keep kind of this going and turn it almost into a series, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And let me know too in the chat, like, is there anything that you guys learned from that or any takeaways from that interview that you really liked? Because that would be cool too.
Or if you watched the video and it brought up more questions that you guys have,
Well, if there's more questions, shoot me a direct message, because I don't want to get them lost in this chat. But shoot me a direct message separately on social media or on YouTube.
Yep.
Comment and I'll get to that.
Comment it into that video.
Yeah, into the video, yeah.
That'd be a good way.
And then I'm also releasing another travel vlog. I think it's going to be Saturday morning. It's ready to go now, actually, but I just want to space it out a little bit from all of these things.
Yep.
And so we're going to be doing our second day in Portsmouth in England. Travel vlog, which I'm super excited to show you guys because we haven't released an England travel vlog since January. Just because England's been in lockdown, I've been kind of hesitant to do that, and we've been trying to show you guys a few of our more recent travels, so that's coming up though, so hopefully you guys are as excited as I am for getting back into England.
Well, it's great because when we're going through the whole editing process, we get to kind of like relive that experience, which is kind of cool. It's so many months ago at this point where it's like looking through it and Liz goes, "You didn't smile a lot that day. What's going on?" And it's like, I don't know. But it was a good day. I remember
that was funny
because
I was like, Derek was like, "Oh, I remember that day. That was such an awesome day." I'm like, "Really? Because you didn't?"
I got to eat half a donut.
Yeah.
Guys, spoiler alert. There's
Derek
a donut. It was
there's
delicious.
A donut. Yeah. Cool. So I feel like we've kind of given you guys the lowdown on what to expect on the channel, but then also we promised to let you guys know more about our live stream schedule. So essentially we are working on a lot of content and want to make sure that we're putting out as much as we can for you guys. And I know for us, we've gotten a little bit busier with travel and work and stuff like that than maybe we were, a year ago. And I know a lot of you guys have too. So since more and more people are going out and about, we're talking about doing a little break over the next 2 weeks for our live streams, and then returning on Thursday night, April 1st, for our next live stream. So
April Fool's Day.
Yes. So next Thursday, April 1st. No, not next. The next live stream.
Yes.
Is Thursday, April 1st.
Yes.
On this channel. So hopefully you guys can all make it still. But yeah, we're toying with the idea of making them a little bit less frequent on the channel, just because a lot of us are a little bit more active than we potentially were before.
Yeah. With everybody getting their vaccines and starting to travel, going to Hawaii and all this stuff. So trying to, reevaluate and see what makes sense. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so let us know if you are really upset by this news, and we can reconsider. But yeah, we're definitely taking off the next 2 weeks from live streaming in favor of putting out more content.
Yeah, and we'll be exploring Palm Springs and stuff, and hopefully putting together some cool vlogs and filming more, and just getting a lot more content out.
Absolutely. So as we mentioned last week, we are heading to Palm Springs, California for, the next month of our long-term road trip. Which is funny because, being here, I've realized, and like filming videos here and stuff, I've realized that a lot of the clothes that I brought on this trip are similar to the ones that I brought to the UK. And I'm like, oh, I'm needing to, first of all, show you guys that I own more than like 7 shirts. So I ended up going to the store.
Whereas I don't. I own 7 shirts.
Derek owns 2 sweatshirts, and that's all he wears. And you guys have seen this.
Shirt number 1.
That's not true. Derek
and the other
owns
one's
more.
Like magenta.
He just only brought 2 sweatshirts on this trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I actually went to the store. I went on a Sunday evening, which, shocker, in Utah, not very crowded. And so I was the only person in the store. And I bought a couple things.
You
and
did.
So those things should be ideal for the fact that we're going to be in like weather that's in the mid-80s Fahrenheit in Palm Springs, which we totally did not pack for. we were like, I don't know what we were thinking, but I packed for like winter stuff. So yeah, it was really, really fun to.
So Iggy is saying that he got stuck in Torre del Campo at curfew, unfortunately. Although he just realized that Campo kind of rhymes with hello, hello from Torre del Campo, and he loves empanadas and empanadillas.
Nice.
So that's fun. Nice.
Mark Finley says April Fool's Day is Terry's birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah, which is great.
Well, wish you a happy birthday on our live stream.
My due date was actually April 1st. I was supposed to be born on April Fool's Day, and then I fooled my parents and I wasn't. Great day though. Solid day to be born, Terry. Hello, Thomas Reiser, welcome, and hello to Purdue. He says Palm Springs, go south of it, and that's where I drove on the BMW track in Thermal. Fabulous track day, one of my favorites. That's great. That's awesome.
All right, so real quick, Mr. Dan 242 has a question. He says, did your trip to Capitol Reef involve driving Route 12 through Grand Staircase Escalante?
Boy,
it's
did it
supposed
ever.
to be really beautiful.
It sure did.
No, not our drive to.
Oh,
our drive
sorry,
from.
our drive from. Yeah.
So what we ended
drove
up
on
doing,
yeah.
and I guess this will get us into a little bit of more detail about our trip, but what we did was...
that's a good idea. Let's tell everybody what we did,
did.
Then we'll tell them the takeaways.
Yeah, we'll tell them the
I would
takeaways.
not have done this. I'm really glad this came up.
Structure! All right, so what did we do? So we drove the 3.5 hours from here to Capitol Reef, opting to take the highways and quicker route to get there, which is only 3.5 hours. If you take the very scenic route, it's closer to 5.5 to 6 hours to get there. But what we ended up doing instead was we said, all right, let's leave early. So we left at 9 something in the morning, drove 3.5 hours, which it's still a beautiful drive, regardless of the fact that it's not the scenic route. It's still gorgeous.
Still mountains,
mountains, beautiful.
And it had recently snowed too, so the mountains had snow on top, and it was awesome.
That was really cool, and we ended up doing that. Then we did the scenic drives and the viewpoints and all that stuff within Capitol Reef. And after that, we left with enough time that if you take the scenic route from Capitol Reef to Bryce, which we overnighted in Bryce City, or Bryce Canyon City or town or village or whatever it is.
Whatever that town is that's right next to the entrance to Bryce Canyon.
Yeah, it's the town that's named Bryce. Yeah. So we ended up staying at a Best Western in Bryce. And
which there are 2 of them.
There's 2. We stayed at the Grand Canyon, or at the Grand
Lodge or something.
Price, I don't know.
We stayed at the newer one, I believe.
Yeah. I don't know. It was nice. Whatever it was nice.
We got a great deal booking it, so we'll tell you about that in a second. Maybe.
So what did we do? We drove there, and the drive from Capitol Reef to Bryce takes you through, if you want to go like the scenic route, you go through Scenic Byway 12, which is this absolutely stunning drive through Grand Staircase Escalante and all that. And
I'm going to just pause you for one very quick second, because there's a big wide world. Hello, welcome.
What's
first
up?
of all, they're Australian, and they're asking, what is Capital Reef? US Geography Challenge Aussie here. And
there's no reef.
Yes, so important point
No
is that
ocean.
it's not by the ocean, and there is no coral reef, which is funny because our American friend, when we told him we were going to it, was like, I had to Google where this is because I thought you were on an ocean. Like when you said Capitol Reef. It's in the middle of the state of Utah, and it's just a really large national park.
Yeah, so what it is there's a lot of like canyons, and there's a geologic formation that is known as the Capitol Reef,
Right.
which is where it gets its name from, which we didn't actually see that specific thing because you had to like go hiking into it, I believe, to get to that. We did more of like the like scenic vistas and everything from the drive because again we had a lot of driving to do that day.
And
but
Capitol Reef National Park is so much less visited than, say, Zion. We, according to our guidebook, only like in normally, non-pandemic years, 1.2 million people visit there, versus Zion, it's like over 4 million people visit. So,
I mean, I would guess that Capitol Reef is probably the least visited national park in Utah. I think
right,
it is.
and it's probably also the hardest to get to from the major cities and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the middle. It's as far, like, it's just really far away from everything. 3.5 hours is not that bad.
But it's still
it was beautiful.
amazing. It's actually Rachel's mom's favorite national park.
Okay. But yeah, no, we took pictures, we had a great time, we enjoyed it. And then we drove on this, like I said, this Scenic Byway 12, which is just stunning. I think that drive alone is worth a trip for, just to see everything there. And there's this one stretch that had Eliz like dying. Because you basically drive.
Okay, don't drive an RV.
You drive on a
stretch.
ridge, and on either side, if you look left or right, you're just staring off of a cliff.
While Derek tells you, I'm gonna try to pull up a video so you guys can see.
I was only looking straight. I looked left once, and then I was like, I'm not doing that again because that was kind of freaky.
It's
but
horrifying.
she was freaking out, and I was just kind of chuckling. But if you've seen our videos in the UK where she was kind of freaking out while I was driving on the other side of the road, it was basically that times 5.
It was like, help me.
Yeah, it was pretty frightening. But no, it was fun, and then we went down to Bryce, and then we woke up early the next morning in Bryce and did Bryce Canyon, which is a super short drive from the town of Bryce. So if you're looking to do Bryce Canyon and overnight it so you can do multiple things there, I highly recommend staying in the town of Bryce because, I mean, location-wise, it's second to none. And, within that town, they actually have the park and ride type areas where you can get on the free shuttle that takes you into Bryce Canyon, which is pretty cool. Bryce Canyon, though, for those who don't know, Bryce Canyon is just massive canyon, think Grand Canyon, but smaller. It was pretty phenomenal.
All right, friends. This is a
sneak peek because we're probably going to have this on our vlog.
On both sides, it just drops off. There's no messing up. There's no going off the road or anything. Just scary stuff.
Yes.
You're on top of a ridge.
Yeah, so that was really cool though. So then we did Bryce, and then after Bryce, and we walked around there a little bit, did a bunch of different viewpoints and everything. We then took our car and we drove down to Zion, and we went through the east entrance of the park, which again, we continued to do the scenic byways and all that kind of stuff down to Zion and through the tunnel. And we did a hike, along the river and had a great time in Zion as well before coming back here. So it was one overnight, and in 2 days we were able to hit 3 of Utah's 5 national parks.
Yeah, unforgettable. It was awesome. Tommy asks, did you stop by Gifford Homestead and Capitol Reef for a cinnamon roll? Best ever.
It was closed.
Yeah, very, very sad. A lot of the things were clothes like that are more indoor or like restaurant-y and stuff like that. And that's a theme throughout a lot of the national parks right now, I'd say. What was open in Capitol Reef was the Fruta Schoolhouse, which was only open, I guess, for 1 hour that day.
Yep. From 2 to 3.
And we talked to the ranger when we went there because we showed up. It was open from 2 to 3. We showed up at like 3:01.
3:05.
Maybe, yeah. And the ranger had like just locked the deadbolt on the schoolhouse and was walking in the lot. And we get out of our car and start kind of like circling the thing, and I think he
like trying to look in the windows.
Yeah, I think he felt that, and he's like, "Do you want me to open this back up for you?" And we're like, "Please."
Which was nice. So we got to look inside and see it, and
yeah.
it was this tiny. It's one of these like
it's
very
so
typical
cute.
one-room schoolhouses.
Yeah, one-room schoolhouse. I think maximum amount of students that they ever had there was like 27 or something, like some low number. No, it was ranged between like 9 and 27.
Room, but yeah.
Yeah. And they had it set up with old like the desks and like
the potbelly stove
the slates,
and all that kind of stuff.
With the chalk, and it was just really a cool thing to see, and like takes you back in time for sure. But we asked the ranger, what are the hours that it's open right now, and he said actually it's based on staff schedule. It's
not open every day.
Yeah, it's not open every day. It's not open at specific times every day. And the only reason why we knew it was open is when we showed up to the visitor center when we first got into Capitol Reef. There was a big sign that said like Fruta Schoolhouse open. So we went over there. But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Capitol Reef was cool. Had a lot of fun with it. I think that seeing the different things like the Fruta Schoolhouse, and I think there's a lodge in Capitol Reef that we went by.
Well, there's the Gifford Homestead too. Yeah. Is supposed to have pies and cinnamon rolls.
Yeah. We were super bummed that was closed.
It's like on the sign, and like a permanent sign that says pies, cinnamon rolls, coffee, and we were like, we want all of those things.
Yeah. But Eliz got to meet some horses that were there.
Yes.
They were cute and whatnot. They neighed.
And we did the scenic drive when we were there.
Now, what I will say, though, is in Bryce, we did end up, even though we didn't get cinnamon rolls at the Gifford House, we did go to a restaurant that's part of a motel in Bryce. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they had homemade pies. And the homemade boysenberry pie.
I think it was called Bryce Canyon Pines Motel.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yes.
But
it was the
restaurant. But the boysenberry pie that we had for dessert, warm with a little bit of ice cream on top, was heavenly.
Thomas said his mom went to a one-room schoolhouse.
Very cool.
I bet it's probably pretty similar.
My grandmother did too.
Yeah. And you've said that your grandmother would sit with her best friend all the time, and they would read to each other and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
She doesn't speak very highly of the education system that she went through. But Thomas, we missed saying hi to you.
I said hi to Thomas.
Okay, well, I missed it.
He's also working on homework. He says he's 2/3 of the way done.
And Purdue says that he likes to pack one outfit.
It was when I was talking about I didn't have many outfits for Palm Springs. Purdue was saying he likes to pack just the one.
Nice. Darian's on. What's up, Darian?
Hi, Darian. Welcome. I wouldn't be as concerned about my outfits for travel if I wasn't doing YouTube videos. But I keep editing these videos and seeing the same few shirts over and over again, and I'm like, well, I should probably switch it out.
So Iggy says, thank you for tips and your time and effort.
Yay, thanks.
And Kim M says, I was in England last year and we cut out our trip to France. Missing travel so much, but this time is giving me time for stroke recovery. Going to be so strong for travel again. That's great.
Oh, wow. And I bet just having to cut out France and then all of this happened, that would be a bummer.
And Lori says, I feel blessed to have met so many beautiful people in YouTube chat groups. A big thanks. Thank you for joining us.
Me too. I totally agree with that statement. Hello, Mom. My mom's on.
Nick P is saying that he enjoyed your interview with
Great,
Rachel.
thank you. I know Rachel really enjoyed being able to share her, thoughts on a lot of you guys' questions.
Mark Finley says, I feel very safe going to Hawaii. Everyone on the plane has been tested, and there are just a handful of cases on the island. Safer going to Hawaii than the grocery store.
Exactly.
Probably. I would probably say yes.
Mary Ellen asks, did we hear any country music in Bryce?
Yes. Actually, at the restaurant where we had boysenberry pie, it was all country music throughout.
No
dinner.
live music.
No live
I don't
music,
know if it's if there's live music.
But coming like right across the street from our hotel is the Bryce Canyon Rodeo. So that was pretty cool. I was like, man, we missed the rodeo.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
But that
so we
looked
should
really
talk
cool.
about our hotel. Do you want to?
What do you want to talk about?
Well, we did book it very last minute. We booked it.
Yes, how we got it.
We booked it the day before we left for this adventure. And mostly we were trying to figure out the weather and trying to figure out how we were going to make all 3 parks work. And it was extremely windy here this week. And actually it's been rainy today and stuff. And yesterday. So we were just kind of monitoring what made the most sense. And we talked it through with my uncle, who he used to work for the U.S. Geological Survey and did a ton of work in Utah and the national parks areas in his 20s. So he said he had been, like, for example, he'd been on that Interstate 12 scenic byway that we were mentioning earlier like 30 times. So we, before we even pressed book, we ran it by him, like what, if it all made sense and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, absolutely, you're gonna love it. So we're like, okay. So then we were looking at the prices for our hotels, and they were actually pretty reasonable because we were going on a weekday and like it's the pandemic and stuff like that. So, but I thought, hey, we had success using Hotwire's Hot Deals tool when we went to Amsterdam a year ago.
And that was and the hot deal that we got going to Amsterdam was the exact hotel that we wanted to book anyways.
Yes.
Because it's the same hotel that we booked the last time we were in Amsterdam.
Yes.
So that one was just one of these things where we're like, well, let's just see and then we
so
looked
like, let's
at
just see.
And so for those who don't know, what's the methodology?
Great. So go into hotwire.com and you type in like the parameters that you want. And I said like I want to stay in Bryce City, which of course narrows down the hotel choice a lot because there's not that many hotels in Bryce to begin with. And then they kind of spit out the rankings for the hotels that have these like hot deals available for them, but they don't tell you which hotel it is. They kind of almost blur out the photos and the name of the hotel when you do this, but there's a trick.
Because it gives you the ratings and all the different breakdowns. So it gives you the total rating. It tells you what
it's the rating. Sorry, just to be specific, it's the rating on Expedia.com. So.
Well, it just so happens to match up with Expedia,
right? No, it's the Expedia like reviews and stuff like that get pulled in. So if you cross-reference the hotel's reviews with the reviews that the hot deal shows, you can kind of narrow down which hotel
Well, it'll also tell you like it's a 2.5 star hotel, so you're like, okay, let's look at all the 2.5 star ones on Expedia in this town. Look up the numbers and see the ones that kind of match, and you can narrow it down that way, right?
Right.
And so you can, before you hit yes, pick the deal, you can have a pretty darn good idea of what the hotel is that you're booking. Because once you hit book, you're stuck. You owe the money and you're done. And that's when they reveal it.
Right. And Purdue's saying that he's used Hotel Tonight before, which I have too, but this particular thing has saved us the most money. It's just we don't always use it because we don't always feel certain about the hotel. And because we kind of knew that we would love to stay at this particular hotel, and then we were able to see that they were giving us $40 off of the already low price on the hot deal, we were like, okay, we're taking this chance. We are probably like 99% certain that this is the hotel that we want anyway. So I press go, confetti, like virtual confetti falls down, and they're like, oh, it's the Best Western in Bryce. And we're like, that's the one that we wanted. And we just saved $40. So,
and $40 on like a $130 room. So it's a pretty big chunk. That's a big percentage.
It went from $130 to $89.
Yeah. And that included breakfast for two and all that stuff. So we had breakfast the next day, which was great. I will say that, the dining room area probably wasn't the best from like a COVID perspective, just in terms of it was a little packed, but you could still get your breakfast to go, and you went down like a line of like a buffet where people served you the food and then handed to you once it was all like all the food that you wanted was on it.
Yeah.
So they had like the clam shells that, the like to-go containers that they would fill up with the food, and they'd hand it to you if you wanted to go eat it in your room or whatever. So they had to set up pretty nicely in that regard.
Yeah. Mark Finley asks, how much about the location do they tell you? Location is huge for him, which location's actually really big for me too. And for a place like Bryce, Utah, that only has like 8 hotels.
Bryce is tiny. There's not a lot of...
Yeah, it was a very easy way. Like, we had a very easy time figuring out that it's 99% likelihood that this is the hotel we're gonna get, and we looked at where that hotel was on Google. It's 5 minutes from the entrance to Bryce Canyon, that sort of thing. Yeah. But that being said, we used this when we went to Amsterdam last March. Same tactic, and we booked. There's hundreds of hotels in Amsterdam. What we were able to do is narrow into, this is in like the Amsterdam city center, which again, there's still tons and tons of hotels, but by really cross-referencing the reviews that are listed, that they give you from Expedia, and then cross-referencing what, like going on Expedia.com and looking at the reviews and narrowing it down, like it said, like, this is a 4.5 star hotel in Amsterdam. Then there was maybe like 6
categories.
6 4.5 star hotels in Amsterdam.
Oh.
Like in Amsterdam city center. Then what you have to do is they give you 4 different categories beyond just the star rating. So it's like cleanliness, service, whatever the Expedia things, like the breakdowns are. And so there's like a few different, like more specific categories that a hotel is reviewed on, and that's where you really have to pay attention. Because if there's multiple 4.5 star reviewed hotels, you have to be like, okay, well, the ones that have cleanliness at 4.7 stars are these hotels. And then you just kind of keep narrowing it down until you like pinpoint exactly which one they're likely quoting you.
Yeah. I mean,
and going from there.
Worst case scenario, you probably narrow it down to like 2 or 3 potential ones, and then you had to make the call on whether or not you'd be okay with any and all of them being the answer. Right. If you can't narrow it down more than that, say you're looking at like New York City or something like that, where there's thousands of hotels, but you can get a pretty good idea, and they do typically run at very large discounts, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe we'll try to make a video at some point about exactly this process. We were just trying to book things on this trip, and we didn't like sit down and show everybody 100% on camera. So if you guys are interested, I can probably do that in the future.
So Darian says that he was driving. Darian, I hope you're being safe with all that. And Purdue says he's basically Jay Leno, just jeans and denim. That's nice. That's good. Mary Ellen Dillon was saying that Bryce is where her friend sings live country music.
She's told us that before.
Yeah, no, we didn't do any live music while we were there.
There wasn't any live music that we knew about.
Not that I knew about.
But we were also there on a Monday night, so it wasn't hopping. Nick P says, I was able to get out of a Priceline Express deal last year when a concert I was going to was canceled. Very nice hotel management. Oh, that's good. That's good that you were able to, because as Eric B was saying, he hears that it's harder to get refunds through Hotwire, Priceline, aka like basically like harder to get refunds through third parties versus booking direct. And that's going to be the case no matter if it's an airline or a hotel, most likely.
And it's not just refunds, it's also like, if you need to make a change to your reservation once you already get there, like you want to cut it shorter or anything like that, the hotels are less likely to actually work with you than if you booked it, directly with them. For us, this didn't matter because we literally booked it like the day before we left. So we knew like, all right, we're going to stay for one night, we leave tomorrow, and then, that's it. So the risk was pretty small from that regard.
And that happened with us in Amsterdam too, because we booked our hotel actually from our layover in Detroit. So we had already left Chicago, and I think we had like a 4-hour layover in Detroit before we flew to Amsterdam. And that's where we booked it. So, it was very low risk. As long as we got on the plane, we were good. But, of course, we don't always fly super last minute. That was kind of a pandemic-related thing. And this was kind of we were doing this pretty last minute, just making sure that the weather was good enough to go to the national parks for filming and for everything. Yeah. So, a lot of times we booked far in advance, and booking far in advance and doing something like Thomas says, where you book direct, makes a ton of sense, because then you do get a little bit more flexibility, especially if you have status with the hotel chain or with the airline or something like that. They're gonna be very nice to you.
Yeah. So Tommy, yes, it must have been the Best Western Bryce plus Grand. Yes, that's the one that we stayed at.
That sounds right.
Because he is saying that he stayed at the Best Western Bryce plus Rubies.
Yes, that
and
was
it left
the other
a lot
one.
to be desired.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Different.
The Grand. I know there was Grand in the title for sure.
And it was actually kind of nice. Like you go in, it has like that kind of like lodgy feel,
Yeah.
like vaulted ceilings,
There's
fireplace,
yeah.
like an elk head over the fireplace, and all that good stuff. So it was cool. It had a little bit of ambiance for Best Western, so it's kind of nice.
The room was very large compared to what I feel like I'm used to in more urban areas.
The room was nice. The pillow situation was odd. Because all the pillows were just like these little square pillows.
We don't stay at Best Westerns
and
much,
really
so please tell
me.
us if this is a very normal Best Western thing. The pillows were square,
They were all square.
not rectangles.
So
and Derek was very upset about this.
So we got in and we had like a 2-queen bed like room, so there's 2 beds, and each bed had 4 little square pillows on it. And so it's like we're getting ready for bed, and I'm throwing all the other pillows onto our bed with us because I'm like, this feels like I'm getting screwed out of pillows in this hotel, but it was fine. And they were comfortable. It wasn't like they took a bunch of like throw pillows and put other covers on them, and that's what you had. They were actually pretty comfy. So there was that. Glenn Camp, what's up, Glenn? So he says would love to stay, but the ACC tournament is calling me. We'll catch it all on replay. Put in a like for good luck.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn. And for anybody who hasn't liked this live stream, we would love it if you maybe consider doing so, because it's just a really great way to tell us that we're doing an okay job, tell YouTube that this is a fun channel, and support this travel channel. So yeah, press the like button, press the subscribe button, and yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Glenn.
Mark is saying he hates almost all hotel pillows, but yes, square pillows are a trend. I've never seen them before. I've stayed at a lot of hotels in my life.
They weren't even, you know how like
before.
you have the European or like European pillows that are square on like normal like stores, like a Bed Bath & Beyond or whatever. They'll be like, this is the European one. It's like a big square pillow. These are smaller than those. These are like little squares.
It's like you put 2 of them next to each other.
It's 2 halves of a normal size pillow.
Yeah, it's like 2 halves of a normal. Put 2 of them together and you're like, that's a pillow. That's one pillow.
Right.
And so it was just, I just like pillows. So again, Eliz was like, stop throwing all the pillows on one bed. I'm like, I am having all the pillows. These are all mine.
Thank goodness we had a room with 2 beds. Otherwise, he would have been like so disappointed.
I even like looked in the closet and she's like, are you looking for more pillows? I'm like, yes.
He's like, yes, I'm looking for normal pillows.
I'm like,
You were so offended by it. I didn't care as
But
much
not
as you.
offended enough to go back out to our car where we actually had
That's
two of
true.
our actual two pillows we took
brought
with
our
us.
pillows with us, but
Because
it
it's a
was
road trip and you can do that.
it was far enough away. The car was like far enough away that Derek was like, "I give up. this is where it ends." Nick P says, I've gotten several refunds on those deals, but it takes extreme circumstances to get a refund. Yeah, I think I meant, was it last live stream that I started talking about bed bugs?
What? Why are you talking about bed bugs?
We were talking about bugs, remember? Yeah. So I think it was last week. So the hotel that I got bed bugs from in Avignon, France, we had booked it through hotels.com, and thank God we actually did, because hotels.com, like, I had talked to the front desk and said, like, we are checking out and you are refunding us, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, yes, sure. And, like, I didn't trust that was actually going to happen. So we reached out to hotels.com and explained the whole story. And hotels.com then called the front desk and said, like, you are refunding these people. And so that was the, like, opposite scenario where, like, hotels.com really looked out for us, but it was an extreme circumstance. And I was able to communicate in English, like native language, with hotels.com. That hotel probably didn't want to lose their partnership with hotels.com, and I got my refund pretty quickly after reaching out to customer service. But I know that there's other situations where maybe you have to cancel something like that or reschedule, and it's harder to do through third parties.
So Mr. Dan is saying, I know we saw some smaller square-ish pillows, and we stayed at Best Western like twice in the past 9 months, so might have been there. Wasn't a fan of the smaller pillows. Me neither.
Yeah. Purdue needs a small mountain of pillows, and so does Derek.
Me, bud. Mountain of pillows. I just want to be like surrounded by them, like a cocoon of pillows.
Yep.
It's my thing. Lori Sims, road trip, you can always bring your own pillow. Yes, we actually have our own pillows, and then we have, Eliz likes these like blankets that are like very soft.
Yeah.
What's that called? Like, they're like plush. Do they have a name?
I don't think they have a name. They're just like
but they're blankets that
soft
are very
plush
soft.
Blankets
very
that
soft.
are machine washable.
But we love, so we have like a couple of those like creature comforts where we're like, even if all the pillows suck at the place we're going to, we know that we have at least our two.
Yeah.
To like make do with.
Yeah, and the reason why I found the brand of pillows that we own, which is Pacific Coast, is we stayed at a hotel in San Francisco, and I think it was like a Hilton. And I was like, wow, these pillows are like excellent. And so I think I was like in market for pillows at that point. And so I tore off the pillowcase, tore off the lining, and I was like looking for the tag on the pillow. Like, where does Hilton buy their pillows from? And so I found that it said Pacific Coast, and then I waited until Black Friday and bought us 2 of the Pacific Coast brand pillows, and no regrets, we're obsessed. But it's kind of like it all started in a hotel. I was inspired by a good pillow from a hotel.
Cool.
I don't think you were listening.
I wasn't listening at all. I don't know what you were just talking about. She was inspired by a hotel pillow.
That's it.
That's all I know, and that's why she married me. She was inspired.
Right.
By a hotel pillow.
And that's totally what I was talking about. Yes. Anyway, so back to the national parks, because that's why everybody's here today, isn't it? We don't want to hear about my hotel pillow success stories.
No, we don't.
Or failures.
Okay. So, what do we want to do? Do you have a list on the national park stuff, or are we just swinging it?
No, I have a list. I just pulled it up.
Woo! Yeah, let's guys.
So, my dad says, do we have a favorite national park from the 3 that we visited? It's a great question, because they all are individually outstanding.
Bryce Canyon for me.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Bryce Canyon we went, and it had snowed sometime in the past couple days, and I think it made it even more magical.
Well, it's also a higher elevation,
yeah.
so you're like within like the snow line type area, so the snow just stays.
So we went to the
pretty long.
amphitheater area within Bryce Canyon, which is that big kind of like
Canyon.
cravat, or what is it?
Canyon. It's a canyon.
It's a canyon, sure. And there's like hoodoos that kind of stick up out of it and stuff, that just make it, you know, you can easily recognize Bryce Canyon in photos and stuff like that, such as my Instagram photos from this week.
I have a Bryce Canyon photo that's going up tomorrow.
There you
on
go.
Instagram.
So because it had recently snowed, the like white of the snow just added so much to the landscape that's already like orange and blue and green, and it just added that extra color that made it unbelievably gorgeous. Yeah, like it was just so pretty. There's people that were visiting there from like Florida and Alabama and having like snowball fights and stuff with their families. It was nice to see everybody really enjoying the snow.
Yeah, no, and it was beautiful, and the other thing that I liked about it is that, you know, it kind of offers something for everyone. So if you just want to go to a viewpoint, there's parking that's pretty close to the viewpoints, where it's a short walk. So, you know, doesn't matter what your mobility looks like, you can still get to the beautiful vistas.
Yeah.
Or you can go down and you can like hike into the canyon and stuff and go around. There's like very nice paths for that. And then if you wanted to do more intense things, there's more intense hikes as well. So it's kind of like,
and just to
there's something for everyone.
Just to add to the mobility thing, there's little benches that you can even sit down and overlook the canyon. So let's say, you know, it's harder for people who can't walk as far and stuff like that, and there's still ways to really enjoy that scenery. I also really liked, I didn't know what to expect from Capitol Reef, and I loved the scenic drive that we did. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I would love some of the hikes and stuff too. We just didn't get to them.
Yeah.
But Capitol Reef just had so many layers of colors within the rocks and stuff like that. That was really, really beautiful. Zion, Derek and I had both been in January of 2020 for the first time, but we'd only been on the scenic drive in Zion. We hadn't been in the like tunnel section that you like go, you know,
through the east side of the park.
Through the east side of the park. And then you do kind of like the switchbacks in your car, like down the mountain and stuff like that, into the canyon.
You see like the Great Arch and everything.
Yeah. So this was our first time doing that, and I think that made Zion extra special for me because it was already beautiful in my memory, but adding that section of the park onto it too was just like, wow. I mean, I'm glad that I wasn't driving because Derek wanted to pull over at one point.
She got to enjoy it all.
Yeah, Derek wanted to pull over. He's like, I'm like, this is a lot because the switchbacks are just like you're constantly like weaving down the mountain and stuff like that, and you're in a line of cars because, although, let me add a very important footnote to that is. This is the last week in Zion that you can drive into the park. Starting tomorrow, I think, is you have to have reservations and you have to have
the shuttle pass.
You have to do the shuttle. So we like squeaked in there with being able to drive our own car into the park.
Yeah, but what was your favorite? Was it Zion?
I can't even choose. Like they were.
Okay.
I don't even know. Like if you could only go to one, I don't even know what to say.
To me, it's Bryce Canyon.
It was Bryce Canyon for you?
Yeah, I think it's
we didn't even get to do all the hiking.
I think it's the more stunning. I think it's the most impactful of the three,
impactful.
I think. Zion's nice. Zion's cool. It's the oldest national park in Utah. And, you know, and whatnot. But
there's
to me,
really
Bryce
cool
is just much
Bryce.
more, there's just more impact.
We learned that the Bryce Canyon is named after the Bryce family.
They were serial homesteaders.
Ebenezer Bryce and his wife, I think Mary something. Yeah, they were, like Derek just said, serial homesteaders, and they were part of the Mormon church, and
they founded something like
12
15,
towns.
12 to 15 towns throughout Utah and Arizona.
And Bryce was only one of them, and they were only in Bryce for a certain period of time to establish that area, and then they moved to Arizona.
Yeah.
It's like, how could you possibly say like, oh yeah, okay, I'm done here in this beauty, Let's go somewhere else. But I mean, that's what they did. That was their claim to fame. That was their life.
Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. Purdue says chemise. I don't know. Is that the type of
That's probably what
the
we
blanket?
No. Oh, chemise is like a type of lingerie, I thought.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe it's a synonym.
Purdue says, do you guys have any preferences on the shower heads? Lots of people talk about the shower heads that they like and don't like in hotel rooms. Yeah, Purdue, for me, it's all about pressure. I want more water pressure than less. I feel like, sometimes you get into a hotel and it has super weak water pressure and you just feel like it takes forever to just like wash your hair and stuff.
I actually don't like rain showers for that reason.
Yeah. And, for me, there's like a minimum threshold that's acceptable on like how long the hot water lasts. Like we both need to be able to get through the shower okay. And if that doesn't work, then something's wrong. But
Hi,
yeah,
Catherine.
I want higher pressure. What up, Catherine Haggerty?
She's doing Samantha Brown's. I think Samantha Brown's thing starts in 4 minutes. So hope you enjoy that one.
Oh, that's awesome. So Thomas Ryder says, my concern is that there is enough pressure in a hotel shower, and I like my shower hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, us too.
We didn't have any issues at the Best Western in Bryce with the showers, but I completely agree. The shower here at this VRBO, like you can adjust the shower head in different ways, and that's always really nice to have too, because sometimes, different people who are staying in the same place want different settings, and yeah, it's good to have that kind of choice. My mom says she adored Bryce Canyon, but don't recall seeing the others. By the way, I'm intrigued with your pronunciation of Zion.
Instead of Zion.
Zion?
I don't know. I've always heard it as Zion. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we weren't taking a tour, so I've only ever heard it pronounced Zion, but Zion National Park. Well, to me, it's the same word.
Yeah. So Eric
I would not have corrected anybody who said Zion versus Zion.
So Eric B is saying that he loved his ride through Zion, which is cool, and he definitely wants to go to Bryce one day. Yeah, Bryce. Yeah, I highly recommend Bryce. I mean, it's a pretty stunning park.
Yeah, but also you should definitely add Capitol Reef to your list. It's so underrated.
Yes, that is true. And for us now, we've been to all 5 of the Utah national parks because we've been to Moab, so we've done Canyonlands, we've done Arches. Mm-hmm. And all. I mean, Bryce might be my favorite of all of them, but Arches is pretty nice too. So it's really hard. Yeah. I don't know. There's just too much.
I should probably say Derek mentioned before that Bryce is at a different elevation. It is at a higher elevation. So if you go in the summertime to Utah, it also might be a good choice for summertime visits too, because it might be a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
That being said, like we were looking at the plaques and stuff when we were at Bryce Canyon, and the pictures of like people exploring the park, they're cartoons. They're like drawings. Remember, it was like there's like drawings of people exploring the park, and they're wearing like tank tops and shorts in the drawings. So it still gets very, very hot there in the summertime too. Bring sunscreen and white shirts, but yeah, I mean it might be a little bit more doable.
Yeah. So Tommy's saying Shuttle in Zion was really a great way for us to get around. Start at the furthest point and work your way back towards the lodge, but agree we like Bryce a little bit more. Yeah, so the thing about the Zion shuttle, if you do it, if you take a ride on it, I was reading the thing and it says that once you return to the entranceway or wherever on the shuttle, that's like it. Yeah, like don't go back to the visitor center on the shuttle until you're done with the park, because once you do that, your ticket's no longer valid. So it's just one of those things where like understanding all the rules before you get there, so you don't mess up and
Definitely do your
have
research, because my understanding is, especially last year when the shuttles were running and stuff, which Rachel actually went to Zion with her family, so she was giving us some tidbits about what it was like when the shuttles were running. It sounds like you would have to book like weeks in advance in order to get your spot, especially on weekends, because there's a lot of locals that might visit as well, people from Vegas.
Zion is the most visited park, I think,
Yeah.
in Utah.
Yeah.
Super popular tourists, both domestic and international, once, international travel is
Yeah.
more open again.
And we were there on a Tuesday afternoon in March, and there was still, when we went to the visitor center, I was like, oh, I'm going to walk into the store, because the stores at all of the other parks had been closed, but the one at Zion was open. So I was like, I'm going to go check out and see what they have. And I walk in, and the front part of the store was doable, but then they had created like narrow lanes to help like the flows of traffic through the store, for the pandemic. But it was so crowded because there was nobody controlling how many people were entering at one time, that I just like went out the entrance, because I was like, I don't want to like weave my way through what felt like a flying tiger. If any of you guys have ever been to that.
Flying tiger.
Flying tiger is like it's a chain store that they have them in like big urban center. Like they have them in New York City, they have them in London, and like it's kind of like they sell knickknacks. They sell like it's like a store that you go in, and every flying tiger is laid out kind of like a maze, and you just weave your way through, and there's just like, it's essentially just one big aisle of stuff. And you're like, oh, this is cool, let me get this. And everything costs like $10 or under, so you're like, whatever, I'm going to add this, I'm going to add this, I'm going to add this. And then you get to the register and you're like, how did I get 7 things into my cart? I was just here to like look around.
I've never been to this place.
I think you have. There was one right next to the ad agency that I worked at in New York City, on the corner of, it was on 21st and Broadway.
Nope.
If any of you guys have been to a flying tiger and know what I'm talking about, please let me know and support me on this one. No, but I mean, there's one in London, there's one in New York City. I think there's one in California.
Iggy says, remember Everybody Loves Raymond when Ray and family go to Italy? Ray takes a shower with a super low pressure and Grandma has to help
him shower.
Yes, I remember that episode actually, and it was really funny. And we didn't realize, so there's a show on Netflix which is a continuation of the PBS series called Somebody Feed Phil, which is the guy Phil Rosenthal or something like that. I don't remember his last name in particular, but they talk about that he's actually like the creator of Everybody Loves Raymond, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And watching him like kind of go around the world and like eat different foods is such a joy to watch. He's like probably one of the most like joyful people that I've ever seen. So just watching him like eat this food and like try these different things, like we've only seen the first episode, which is the one in Rio, and that made me want to go to Rio right there just for the food, even though I love the idea of going to Brazil. So
yeah,
check that one out.
Yeah, that was a fun show. Nobody else seems to have heard of Flying Tiger, which I'm like, come on, guys. I think it's a Danish chain, if I remember correctly, and it's in a lot of like really large cities. I think there's one in Paris too.
Yep, Nick P's never heard of it. Lori's never heard of it.
Eric B says Antelope Canyon looks beautiful from pictures. I completely agree, and I was actually messaging.
It's closed right now.
Yeah, it is closed right now. I was messaging with a friend of mine, Brian Snyder, who lives in Phoenix. We're talking about doing a YouTube collaboration at some point about Arizona, since he lives there and I've been there so much. And he was talking about going to Antelope Canyon because he was getting inspired from all of Derek and my trips this week. And I was like, oh, you gotta wait on that one.
Well, so Antelope Canyon, for anybody who's curious about it, the only way to do the canyon is through a tour. So you had to book some tour to do it, and they have the photography ones. They have just regular ones that are cheaper. But however, right now it is currently 100% closed. You can't get in and whatnot. So that was something that we were looking at potentially doing because that is in northern Arizona. So that would have been something that we could have tried to do. But again, you know, you look at their website and it's updated pretty, you know, constantly. So it said, you know, it's March 2021 and we're still closed.
Yeah, I mean, it looks absolutely magnificent. Someday Derek and I are gonna go for sure. It's one of the like top visited places in Arizona that I have not been to, and that like hurts me a little bit. Like I want to go so bad. Someday we'll get there for sure. Okay, so I'm just going. We kind of jumped around a little bit on the list. If you want to read.
Yeah. So one thing that I'll talk about though real quick that I know is on our list is about costs. So we bought on this trip. We've bought our annual pass for the America the Beautiful Pass or whatever, which gives you free access, not free, but including your $80 cost, it gives you access to all the national monuments and parks and all that.
The
good
pass
stuff.
costs $80 to be clear. Yes.
And you can put 2 names on it, so my name and her name, so we can either one of us could take it with us and get access to the park.
Wait, let me just add an important point. If you know that you're going to be buying this pass when you go somewhere, bring a Sharpie.
Because first time you get into a place, it's fine, but when they hand it to you, they say, and just make sure you sign this before you use it next time.
Yeah, so next time might be if you're going to the same park the next day, or for our case, we went to 2 parks in one day.
And we bought it at the first park that we went to, and then we're like, oh crap, how are we going to sign this before we walk into Zion?
And this is why my Travel Tip Tuesday from last fall, where it says always bring a Sharpie, is so important, because I made the mistake. I didn't bring the dual-sided Sharpie, even though I said it's important to always bring the dual-sided Sharpie.
Now, that said...
And I brought the one that you can't sign things with.
So we ended up still being able to sign it. It was fine. But they didn't even end up looking at the signature in Zion. They just kind of looked, oh, pass, okay, go ahead. But
last time they did look at the signature there.
Last
so,
time they did
don't
look at the signature.
count on that happening.
Yeah. But pandemic, so I don't think I want to touch things.
True.
So, but what I was trying to say with this, which had nothing to do with the Sharpie, was so the pass costs $80, and that's for a 1-year pass, gets you into any and all parks, right? But just a 1-day thing, like if we just wanted to go into the park for 1 day and we're like, we're never going to a national park ever again, that would cost $35. So getting into Bryce Canyon costs $35, getting into Zion's $35. Those 2 parks alone put you at $70 total. So for an extra $10, now we can get in, we could go back again, we could go to Zion or Bryce, you know, next week if we wanted to. Theoretically we're not, but we could.
Yeah.
And now we can use it when we go to like Joshua Tree in California and other places.
Yep.
That said, this was the first time we actually would have had to have paid, even though we went to a number of national parks before this trip. So we've been to a total of 5 national parks at this point on this trip. We went to the Hot Springs National Park, which did not require payment to get into. We went to Saguaro National Park in Tucson, which did not require any payments to get into. And Capitol Reef also did not require payment to get into. You could just drive right on into the park.
Again, we were there on a weekday.
We were there on a weekday. There's no ranger collecting fees or anything like that. So, you know, technically, I think, you know, there would typically be rangers present that would be collecting, you know, fees and stuff. We didn't have it until we hit Bryce Canyon.
Yeah.
So Bryce Canyon, yes, you had to stop, you had to pay, and then enter. Same with Zion. So. And
Saguaro National Park, we went to the west side one. There are 2 different like parts of Saguaro National Park, and we went after the visitor center had already closed. So all we had to do was kind of like park at the visitor center and like walk around a little bit.
Yep.
I don't want you guys to like get your hopes up, I guess, that you don't have to pay, because I don't want you to quote us on that. But we were able to go there and take a look around without paying.
Yeah, so it all gets down to, like, you go to a place you expect to pay, but maybe you luck out and you don't have to.
Yeah.
So, like, that's been our experience on this trip.
A place that you always have to pay is Zion and Bryce and
Grand Canyon, probably.
probably Grand Canyon.
I think you need a reservation to get in.
It's been so long since I've been there now that I haven't been to Grand Canyon since 2009. But then also Red Rock Canyon outside of Las Vegas has a paywall too, even though it's not technically a national park. It's like a national rec area that you can use your parks pass to get in.
Yeah. So Thomas Reiser, just to clarify, one pass is good for 2 people. Yes, you can put 2 names on it, so that's like 2 owners of the pass.
And you do your signature, and they match it up to your driver's license signature, so make sure it's the same.
If they were looking at it. As Nick P. says, they never looked at it ever in any of the national parks he went to. So it just depends on, how lazy the person is who's working the desk.
Definitely looked at it for us at Arches National Park.
Yeah, but we've also gotten in saying that we didn't have our IDs with us. So it depends on the park ranger.
Yeah.
100% depends on the park ranger.
So expect to pay, then...
Expect for them to, want to look at your ID. So, whatever. But, yes, and as Mr. Dan says, I think the pass is good for the holder plus 3 people, but can also have 2 owners named on it for its use. Yeah, that I think is true. It's like you in the car, load
so
of
if
people.
you have, 8 kids, you can't just... And, you're all in, a big... van, you can't get in?
I don't know how often they have to worry about 8 kids, but maybe. I don't know. But I think it's if it's a group of adults, me plus 3 other adults could get in with my pass.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was a whole car could get in with the pass, but...
Well, you could also just walk into parks. And they charge you.
That's true. And, oh my gosh, when we
$20
went into
to
Zion,
walk into
it was
Zion.
$20 to bike or to walk into Zion. Yeah, that was interesting.
So at that point, if I'm there with 3 buddies and we're cycling into Zion, which is never going to happen, I could have my pass and be fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Mr. Dan says all in a car can get in, but some parks are walk up. Okay, that makes more sense. Sorry. Thanks for clarifying that. And an example of the walk-in parks is probably the Hot Springs National Park that we visited, right?
Lori Sims, Utah 8 kids, not like
yeah.
that. Yes.
We might have seen a few of those at Target. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah, it was good for a vehicle as long as it's a non-commercial.
I mean, especially there's a lot of RVs that say maybe we'll drive into a national park. We've seen so many RVs this week. That's why I was
some of them were the rental RVs.
I was they're going to count the number of people in an RV?
Yeah, no, I do remember reading it, and it said as long as it's a non-commercial vehicle, that counts, right? So
okay.
I guess if you have a Sprinter van for the fact that you have a massive family,
all
then,
your fam.
yeah, that works.
Get grandma in there too.
But you can't rent a massive commercial vehicle and load it with all your buddies and be like, this is it. Let's go.
Yeah. So that kind of the comment that I just made about us seeing so many RVs kind of brings us to what we saw, because we didn't camp at any of the national parks, but we saw different messages about people who were camping and people who drove their RVs in there, and we're gonna camp overnight. A lot of the parks are doing very limited capacity at the campgrounds, so even though when we drove by the campgrounds they did not look full, the actual grounds themselves were labeled as full.
Yep.
So if you are considering camping, whether it's car camping, RV camping, tent camping, anything, make sure
you check ahead for
vacancy. You've reserved. Don't expect to just be able to do it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were surprised when we were at Capitol Reef that there was signs everywhere that was campground full, and when we drove past the campground it was
did not look even almost full.
I want to say maximum 25% full.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there is, a specific percentage right now. but it was definitely, we were like, wow, that does not look full compared to how how many signs we've seen.
Yeah, so, one other thing to talk about, and I think you actually said, talked about this a little bit with regards to just like kind of like crowding and some stuff. So some places within national parks, whether it's like the visitor center or very like popular like viewing points or trails, can get pretty packed. And outdoors, we've noticed that a lot of people don't like to wear masks, even in fairly close confines. So you just need to be aware of that kind of stuff. We just always had our masks ready, and so if we were going to walk within close proximity to people, we threw our masks up.
We chose not to do the Angel's Landing Trail or the Narrows in Zion National Park for that reason. We were really interested in doing those hikes because we've never done them, and we really want to. Rachel even says Angel's Landing is her favorite hike she's ever done ever. But we're being really, really careful right now.
They're pretty packed though, and
it was packed.
To get to the Narrows in Zion, there's actually like you're on a path, so you're very constricted. It's not like one of those things where you can like really get distance between you and others. So there's just times when you might feel like you're like swimming upstream kind of thing. Through a bunch of people.
So what we ended up doing was I think it's called the Riverside Trail, which is at the very end of Zion's
Scenic Drive.
And it like gets you into the Narrows, like Derek was saying.
Temple of
and
something.
what we did, because when we started seeing how many people were on the paved path that goes that direction, we were just like, you know what? Let's just walk along the sand path along the Virgin River that cuts through the canyon. Yep. Yes, it's called the Virgin River, just like the Netflix show. And so we ended up going on the sand path in our hiking boots. Thank God I wasn't wearing my mesh sneakers.
Yeah.
And we had a great time. We were just so pleased with the scenery that we were able to experience. And there were so few people on that trail.
Yeah, most people stuck to the paved path, but since we were on the sandy path, there very few people that we had to deal with, which was great. And it also just made it feel a little bit more special, like you have like the park to yourself sort of thing. So we enjoyed that, and had a great time with it. Eliz, we were taking like selfies and stuff, and more than once we had people ask if they wanted, if we wanted them to take our picture for us, and we said thank you, but no.
That definitely happened at Bryce.
Yeah.
So we went to the sunset and sunrise points at Bryce Canyon. Beautiful, do it.
And they're super close to each other, so you can park at one.
Well, they're a half mile from each other, but yes.
That's what I mean. They're a half mile away only, so like you can park at one, and it's a very, for the most part, level paved path that connects you between the two. Mm-hmm. There's a slight incline as you get to, I think, like the sunrise one, but otherwise it's almost like a level, just paved half mile walk, so it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were awesome. That was really cool.
That was really cool. But that definitely was the place that everybody was taking the selfies, and different families were offering to take our picture, and we just still aren't
Nobody had masks.
Comfortable with that. Yeah. So we avoided that a little bit.
But everybody was so super nice and just like happy to be there.
Yeah.
And like I'm just like
like I said, people were having snowball fights.
And Eliz at one point goes, "We're not in a Hallmark movie.
This isn't a Hallmark movie.
We're not allowed to have snowball fights." Which is a joke. You can have a snowball fight. No, we any other time we're like, these people seem so nice. So yeah, no, it was great.
Nick P says the biggest family in his extended family has 16 kids. Freaking crazy.
Dang.
For 2021, that is very unheard of. They're almost at Duggar status, I feel. They're getting there.
Mr. Dan says, did it seem like those Cruise America rental RVs or more RV owners?
Great question.
I'd say majority RV owners, or maybe they're leasing through an owner sort of thing.
Yeah, because I think
we saw a few of the Cruise America rentals, especially at Bryce Canyon. I noticed two right next to each other, like one of the shorter ones and then like one of the bigger ones. But I mean, for the most part, it seemed like it was more like we saw so many Airstreams. We saw a ton of like what are the fifth wheels and
We
all that kind of stuff.
we saw everything from the tiny campers that kind of just sit on top of a truck bed to Class A vehicles. The Class A vehicles, we saw more just like on the highways and on the roads than in the parks themselves. But I mean, we saw all of them, like any type of trailer, RV, anything.
We saw people who were like, we're pretty sure they lived in that car.
Yeah, we saw a lot of vans.
Yeah.
We saw 2 converted school buses.
Tons of Sprinter vans, yes. And
we saw 2 converted school buses, and the converted school buses had the like owners' Instagram handles on the side, and so I started writing them down so I could check out their Instagrams when I would get service. Which, by the way, that's another thing. Most of the national parks don't have service. Put your phone on airplane mode if your battery's not good.
Except Bryce Canyon, for those who tuned in, I was actually had some 5G coverage and was able to do a little live thing from Bryce Canyon.
You were able to do that from the Sunset and Sunrise Trail, but don't expect it everywhere in Bryce Canyon.
It's not everywhere.
I would imagine once you get hiked down into the amphitheater, the 5G service might go away.
What's up, Mark Smith?
Hi, Mark Smith. Welcome. I had to attend a board meeting on Focus. Jeez. This is the board meeting to attend. Just kidding. Thank you for joining. Anyway, so we were just talking about national parks. But so in regards to RVs, we like everyone's doing the RV thing still right now, based on what we've seen. And
we are still very much in the maybe by this summer or next year, maybe looking for a used one when people decide that they don't want to do it forever. That's my hope.
Another part about taking an RV into Zion, which I don't know how relevant this is going to be for any of you guys trying to visit in the next few months, because again, it's going to be shuttle service. Yep. But taking an RV into Zion, when you go through that like tunnel that is cut into the mountain, we went in through the east side, so yeah, we had to get through the tunnel just to get to anything in Zion. There's like park rangers that are controlling traffic, so they like will let a bunch of people through and then
Hi,
stop.
Candace. Sorry, Tom's daughter says hi.
Hi, welcome. So they'll let like a whole line of cars through, but they don't let both lanes of traffic go through right now.
No, that's not true. So what it is, that's not true.
That's what happened though. I'll let Derek
I'll explain it.
Okay.
So how it works right now is the tunnel, if it's just regular like passenger vehicles and stuff like that, there's no problem.
Wait, he said Cadence, not Candace.
Oh no, Cadence.
You read that wrong. Hi,
I'm sorry, Cadence. Hi, Cadence. I apologize.
This is okay. Derek
I was
gets to talk.
reading
I
from
get
a
to
distance. Read. From a distance, it's small type. Hi, Cadence. Okay, so what I was saying though was that I think for regular vehicles you can go both ways. What it is if it's a commercial vehicle, if it's a larger vehicle like a big RV, then they stop traffic because like those vehicles, like the lanes aren't wide enough to accommodate them, so that they can like kind of go down the middle of the path. So that's the reason why we were stopped, because at the front of our line was a like big commercial vehicle.
Yeah, I think a coach bus.
Yeah, it was like a coach bus.
From what we could see, I'm not 100%.
It looked like it was probably
90%.
like a tour type thing, where maybe they had like a tour of people going through. And so we were stopped behind them, and then they had to then go and like stop traffic so that this one vehicle could come through, and then all of us just went with that one vehicle as well. Which, obviously causes a big backup on our end as well as on the other end. And to do that, you then need to pay $15 extra for them to stop traffic. So if you're coming in like a big RV and you're going through the East Tunnel, call in advance so that you know that they can actually accommodate you and like stop traffic, and just expect that you're going to have to pay an incremental $15. Even if you have an annual pass, you have to pay that extra money for them to have a ranger go out and actually stop traffic for you.
Bye, Iggy. Have a good night to you. Yes,
Bye, Iggy.
Thanks for joining. And Tom says Cadence gets called Candace a lot.
So sorry. It's probably like the Starbucks name that you get usually.
Yeah. Derek has a cousin named Candace. We should ask if she gets called something else. Anyway, so yeah, okay, Derek explained everything. Another thing too about going through that tunnel at Zion was like, there's different points along the way that have like windows, where they've cut holes in the mountainside so that way you can at least get like a little bit of light coming through, so it doesn't feel like you're in like the Midtown Tunnel underneath the Long Island Sound or anything like that. That being said, I felt like every single person in line in front of us in their car would stop at every window and
Slow
like
down.
it was like a gaper's delay, and they'd be like, "Oh, what can you see out there?" Like keep driving. We're like, "Why are we stopping?"
Yeah, it makes the trip. You're
made it so much longer.
You're not going 25 miles per hour the whole time through the tunnel, because like suddenly each time you'd get up to that window, like somebody, it wasn't everybody, I feel like it was like every like fourth car would like slow down
And be like, "What's the view out there?" And you're
so
like,
you'd have to pump the brakes
keep
and like
going.
Yeah. It's like, guys, the view once you leave the tunnel is breathtaking. Just get through the tunnel.
Yeah.
It's way better when you get out of it. But yeah, no, we had never done that east side of the park and stuff like that before. It was pretty cool and worth doing. Like we said, like, you know, the shuttle service that runs daily starting tomorrow. I think it starts tomorrow. I know it starts this weekend.
Definitely starts this weekend, if not tomorrow.
And, you know, so because of that, you need to get your stuff in advance, which means you either need to do it weeks in advance when they first release the tickets, or you can look day ahead, and they have a certain amount of tickets that they release kind of like the day prior, and I think they release them at, I don't know if it's like 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. or something like that the day before, and you can, you know, potentially snag some tickets. I think historically they've also done some walk-up tickets that are available, but, you know, we wouldn't recommend that you know, especially if you're not staying by the national parks, we wouldn't recommend like making the trip out there assuming that you're going to be able to do any sort of like walk-up tickets. So, you know, our advice would definitely be to like book those in advance.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if it's a weekend.
Yeah. So, Mark Smith says Shannon Address is doing a bike tour across the country. One of our board members is a support vehicle.
Cool.
And is considering campers that he can put a bike rack on top. Oh, that's really cool.
That's great. We've seen a lot of campers with bike racks.
Oh, so many.
We've seen a lot of campers with ladder. That's a giveaway for the van life people. Is the ones that have the ladders on the back
with a
and
bunch of like solar panels on
with
top.
solar panels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, both converted buses had solar panels, and we were like, "That's neat."
I mean, you need to, right? You
Yeah.
need to have those for the battery generation and everything. But yeah, we've seen a bunch of people with bikes and everything, and you know, even like the Sprinter vans, they have like those, they call them the trunks or whatever. It's like that under part that's usually under what the bed platform, and that's where they like keep all their gear and everything. So we've seen a bunch of them like with like a ton of bikes like under there and
Yeah.
everything. It's a lot of fun.
That's gonna be great if she's able to put the bike on the back of a camper. That's gonna be an epic trip, no question. Tommy says, when I see those RV rentals, it just triggers memories of that Robin Williams movie, Runaway Vacation, classic road trip. I
Nice.
haven't seen that one. Have you? I love Robin Williams.
Maybe. It sounds like a movie I would have watched, so maybe somewhere way back in the past I probably watched it.
Yeah. His family like loves watching movies together, and
Well then, yeah, I mean, I've just watched so many
You
things
have.
at this point that I forget more than I
Derek's watched
remember.
like all the movies. I feel he's a walking blockbuster.
So Mark Smith says that's the problem with buses in Ireland. They can't go all places. That's the problem in a lot of places in the UK as well as Ireland. Because like up in Scotland, as an example, there's definitely places where you can't go on like a big bus.
Kim is actually asking about how it compares to our Scottish road trip, and I just want to first answer this question, or like kind of comment about this comment about Ireland and compare it to in Scotland. So there's a part of the North Coast 500 in Scotland that you cannot do in a bus. You can't even do it in like a larger camper or any, like what do they call it there? They don't call it an RV. Caravan, that's right.
You cut me off. No, but yeah, all I was saying was that there's definitely, things that you can't do in like a big bus or a big vehicle. The place that comes to mind all the time for me is the on the Isle of Skye, in Scotland, the Fairy Glen. Typically, they say you can't do that in anything bigger than like a van.
Yeah.
So.
They won't let coach buses down that narrow. I mean, it's like a one-way road.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is why we always recommend that you drive your own vehicle.
But it's supposed to be two-way.
Yeah.
It's a two-way road.
Yeah, but that's why we always recommend that people drive when they go to the UK if they're planning to do a bunch of like rural stuff and they want to have access to everything. Like, there's just certain things you can't do on tours, so take your own vehicle and you can get to anything, right?
And ask for the smallest car possible.
Yeah, don't let them upgrade you like we let them upgrade us.
They upgraded us.
We tried not to, but then they said it was the only automatic they had, and neither one of us knows how to drive stick, so we were just like, oh man, I guess we're stuck in our upgrade.
That was in the Kent travel vlog though, so you guys probably saw that day when we were like, we either have to take this car or we don't get a car. So here we are with this car.
But at the end of the day, what we got upgraded into, though, just as a point of reference, it did have more like active safety features, which was nice, like lane assist and adaptive cruise control and all that good stuff.
And it had like the rear view camera,
which was very nice. So there are a few things that they're like, if you don't go with this one and you like try to go to a different location to get a vehicle, it won't have these features. So they were able to like kind of sell me on that, and I really did appreciate having those in the UK. So
absolutely,
especially with how much like the backup camera was really helpful for the amount of like parallel parking and different things like that we had to do.
Thomas Reiser just ordered a GoPro 9.
Nice.
Awesome. That'll be so much fun.
I'm jealous. I want that because we have the 7.
Yeah.
So ours is a couple generations
We want
old.
the 9 because I think that one has a microphone jack too.
Well, it also has the like selfie camera, so you can see what you're looking at when you're doing it, which is super helpful.
All right, so we're jealous of you, Thomas. Let us know how you like it.
You and I think Nick Barnett's also has like the new GoPro 9 as well. So, and for those who haven't seen it, I don't think he's on, but Nick actually launched his channel recently, which we're super stoked about.
Yeah, Global Nico.
And Global Nico.
Go
So we checked out his videos and stuff recently. So go give those a look see.
Thomas also said sat-nav is an essential in the UK. I agree, but we were able to work our way around it. So we brought a TomTom device with us and actually never ended up using it because we combined our Maps.me and our Google Maps.
Yep.
And we would like preload all of our maps for that day. But, I mean, it was a gamble. Because if we had like lost the maps or something like that, we would have been in deep doo-doo. Eric B says I got the GoPro 8. I like Eric B's channel too. So Travel Adventures with Eric B is a good channel to check out. Has good travel content too for those of you guys who are into travel vlogs. So Kim M, I want to get back to your question. How would you compare your Scottish road trip to this one? Top compare and contrast. Sorry, Derek's closing all the blinds so other people can't spy on us while we do this. Derek, do you want to help me answer this one? Should I get going?
The accents are different.
The accents are different. Number 1 difference.
Less haggis on this trip.
Okay, so it's
less haggis.
Let's just say the road trip from like Cincinnati to Tucson we're not talking about. What we will talk about is like more the road trip out west, kind of like Tucson through now, versus Scotland. Because Cincinnati to Tucson, we were just trying to like get there. We were booking it.
Yeah. So, what I would say is like this thing that we did this week, where we went to the national parks and we were driving.
Yeah.
We did like the big route to Capitol Reef, and then from Capitol Reef down to Bryce, and then Bryce down to here.
Yeah.
And driving through that, I would think is actually kind of comparable to doing like the North Coast 500 in terms of like stunning scenery in natural landscape and beauty and all of that. It just so happens you're also going through national parks and national monuments and all that kind of stuff on this route. But in the UK, you're able to do that in the North Coast 500 without really having to worry about like going through a national park and having to wait in lines for that. That said, it is a very busy road trip in the UK as well. So if you do the North Coast 500, any other time than when we did it, you're likely going to be dealing with a lot of very heavy traffic.
Yep.
So the one thing is the roads are extremely different. So like for us, even though we're on something like Scenic Byway 12, which is not a major highway, it's still
it's a two-lane road.
It's a two-lane road all the time. It's not like in the UK where it's a single-lane road a lot of the time with pull-offs to allow traffic going in opposite directions. So because of that, it's American driving versus UK driving or European driving where, you have to deal with other drivers a lot more dynamically.
Exactly.
So to me, the driving in the US is always a little bit easier and less stressful because of that. Because you always know you're in your lane, they're in their lane, and you're good.
Mark Smith, we unfortunately did not go to the Shetland Islands, and I just realized maybe not all of you guys have been following our live streams as long as from when we last fall did the North Coast 500 in northern Scotland. So we did that road trip in mid-November. I don't remember the exact day that we started, but it was like mid-November to late November. So it was definitely off season for that area. Yep. But we were still able to manage it, and it was not in lockdown then, which I know that it is now. So we were able to go around and do all the things, and because England was in lockdown then, but Scotland was not, and we had already gotten into Scotland, there was just so few people doing the North Coast 500 compared to normal. Here in Utah, the elevation change and the curviness of the roads can feel similar to that experience up north in Scotland. But the scenery is so different because in Scotland, you're like a lot of it, you're just overlooking the ocean, overlooking all these cliffs, and you're seeing all of these like really cute little cottages. And then here in Utah, it's still kind of that difficult driving experience, but it's not anywhere close to the scenery. It's still breathtakingly beautiful in both places, but it's not, it's like, do you like water or do you like colorful red rocks and mountains and stuff?
Yeah, well, okay, so they're both stunning natural beauty. The driving's a little bit different.
A lot less farm animals in Utah. Along the route.
We still saw quite a bit of cattle.
Mark Smith asked, any sheep? No sheep in Utah.
No,
just
but actually,
cattle and horses.
What you did see, one of the things that we hadn't been used to prior to going to the UK and doing that trip was a lot of like the cattle grate type things because they have like open pasture sheep and whatnot. And they do the same thing here, but with like beef cattle, where they'll have like open range cattle, and so you're still going over like the cattle grates, but it's not the same density. So like we didn't ever have any in the road that we had to deal with here in Utah, but in the UK we definitely had that quite often, whether it was sheep or goats or what have you.
There's also more like fencing and barbed wire so that cattle and any sort of animal doesn't get into the roads here than I would say was in the UK. One of my favorite days though on the North Coast 500 was when we drove, like, inched our way through a herd of hairy coo, Highland cows, and I mean, we were like only feet away from them, right? But that's not going to happen so much here. Just that's really not how America does livestock, I guess. I don't know. We don't let them on the road so much. There is still like your occasional watch out for deer, watch out for cow signs. Mm-hmm. But we just weren't as close. And then the sheep situation was nowhere near what it was in Scotland. And I will add about the
Purdue's right though. golden retriever of cows.
Yes.
The hairy
100%. The Shetland Island thing, we would love to go. We just actually...
While we were there...
I think it was that... Was it that we couldn't? Or there was some sort of rule?
They were actively trying to keep people from going to places like the Shetland Islands while we were there, because on the Shetland Islands there's not like a hospital. The nearest hospital, I think, to the Shetland Islands is Inverness, which is quite far away. And so it's just one of those things where people are very protective of the islands and, you know, trying to keep the tourists away during these like tough times.
So even the Orkney Islands, which are way closer than the Shetland Islands, weren't really wanting people to go when we were there. So
yeah, Mark Smith saying that Ireland has the free-range sheep, and they paint the sheep different colors. Yes.
So does Wales.
So does Wales. So does Scotland. You see them have like a big red dot on them.
Yeah.
Where they paint them. So that's kind of fun.
I love seeing the different kinds of sheep too. So I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, like a near suburb of Chicago, and like nobody that I knew had sheep. I didn't know about sheep, and so while we were on the North Coast 500 was the first time in my entire life that I started Googling about sheep, and that there's like all these different types of sheep, like what creates a black sheep? Yeah, like how rare are they? But I mean, even within Scotland itself, there's like 30 different varieties of sheep, and I was like, who knew? So that was just so much fun, and I'm so excited to edit our North Coast 500 videos for you guys. Yeah. We're not even close to those though, which I just realized. It's like I still have to do Cornwall, I still have to do Bristol, I still have to do Lake District until we get to Scotland. So it's coming. It'll be on this channel. If you want to see it, it's coming.
And really, it's just about the beautiful pictures and stuff, and the beautiful like vistas and everything, and it's pretty phenomenal. So
we did not get near We did not get near Monument Valley on this trip. I have been to Monument Valley. Derek has not. Yep. My favorite part of Monument Valley is Mexican Hat, which I think that you went to last summer.
Yeah, no. So we didn't go there. It's just a little far from here for us to have made that trip. If the North Rim was open at the Grand Canyon, we would have definitely made an effort to get to the North Rim and then probably hit that kind of like on the way back sort of thing, because that would have put us in proximity at that point, and maybe even try to do like Lake Powell. So there's still a ton of stuff here in Utah that we haven't actually made it out to. Like, I know Monument Valley's right on the border, Lake Powell's right on the border. There's just a lot of like cool stuff.
Yeah, and Eric, yes, we have content for months to edit, no question. And we've been filming things, you know, here in the U.S. too. So we have a lot of backlog from the U.K. and then U.S. stuff. So that's a large point behind what we said at the beginning of this live stream, which I'll reiterate for anybody who's new on. So we are actually, I'm taking 2 weeks off of live streams over the next 2 weeks, the latter half of March, and we're not going to go live on Thursdays like usual. Our next live stream after today is going to be on April 1st. So at that point, we'll start talking a little bit more about what the April schedule looks like and stuff. But hopefully you guys can mark your calendars right now. Tune in on April 1st. But I know a lot of you guys are out and about and exploring around already, and a lot of you guys, it sounds like, are getting vaccinated, which is awesome, and I'm jealous of. But yeah, and in favor of the live streams, we're going to be putting out a little bit more content, a little bit more videos, so please watch them. Check out the flight attendant Q&A that I put out yesterday, and then be prepared for the next UK travel vlog that I'm going to put out most likely Saturday morning.
Yeah, so it's on April Fool's Day. That's the day that we were doing it. But we will be there. It's not a joke.
Yeah, like it's actually, please tune in. Like, it's not a joke.
And we will be tuning in from California, California, which will be great. I know we're both excited about. Yes, and Eric B, yes, we have content for months. So Nick P is saying that's the precise reason I'm not trying to go international. It would be such a bummer to miss out on fun things to do in Europe. Yeah, it's definitely you can travel different places right now, but you need to definitely make sure that you're taking into account what the experience will be like when you actually get there.
There's so much that was closed even
it.
when we were there, and we were there when the country wasn't really in lockdown for a large part of it.
I mean, we were never in a place that was under lockdown.
That is true.
We were in England and it was not under lockdown, and then they went under lockdown, so we left and we.
No, we left and then they went under lockdown.
Sorry, they announced that they were going under lockdown, so we left.
Because we knew that they were going to go into lockdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're always very clear with that. We were never anywhere that was under lockdown.
I'm also, whenever I release the UK vlogs, I'm like, this is the day it was filmed, but there's still been comments on them, unfortunately, about people being like, what were you doing? And we're like, first of all, we quarantined like very strictly, and we never were in a place that was in lockdown.
That's one of the reasons why we have kind of pumped the brakes a little bit in terms of
vlogs.
the UK content, because we do realize that they've been under lockdown and it's very difficult, and we don't want to like give a.
There are people
we don't
that,
want it to be presented as though we're there now traveling.
You guys can't see it, but it's because YouTube blocks certain comments, but I can see them. That people have not been very nice to us because they don't realize, like they don't notice the date that it was filmed. They think that we're like there now, and like touring around while everybody else is in lockdown.
Yeah.
And they aren't very nice to us, so.
Yeah.
We're trying to be mindful of that, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Who still pumps the brakes? That's a great question. This guy.
We both do. It was such a great Q&A. I don't know if you were talking about our flight attendant Q&A, but thank you if it was.
Or if it's just this. I mean, that's cool too.
Yeah, we always do the travel Q&As on this. But the flight attendant Q&A was super fun. I want to do another one as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So if you guys have questions for Rachel, I think the next one, before it becomes more like, I don't know if the word is irrelevant because like the pandemic is still going on strong, but like I do want to talk to her maybe more about her experience as a flight attendant during COVID than we got into. So if you guys have questions about that, keep that going. Here, you can have this. By the cement pond in California. I don't know what that is.
Cement ponds and. Are you talking about Beverly Hillbillies, Mark?
I don't know. Mark Finley went to the Mexican Hat and saw it from the road. I was in awe of the actual Monument Park, and all that we got to do was drive by on the highway. Yes, that's pretty much all I did too. I think you also stopped at the goosenecks of the San Juan, which somebody had asked before, and I'm not sure if we touched on it, if we were going to go to Horseshoe Bend. I have been. I don't think you've not been, right?
To what?
Horseshoe Bend. So Horseshoe Bend is beautiful, great place to stop. But if you want to get pretty much the same experience, you can also drive to Goosenecks of the San Juan, which is around Monument Valley in southeastern Utah, or you could go to Dead Horse Point State Park, which also has one of those like little goosenecky, horseshoe bendy curves in the river too. So there's a couple of different options of places that you can get that like vista.
Or you can go to Dead Horse Point State Park over by Moab. And it gives you a similar...
Didn't I just say that?
I thought you said Horseshoe Bend.
Oh, if I did
and
it.
Gooseneck.
I was saying, somebody was asking about Horseshoe Bend, and then I said you could go to Dead Horse Point State Park.
Oh, I didn't hear that one, sorry.
Or Goosenecks of the San Juan.
Sorry. I'm not mansplaining. That's not what this is.
He's like, or you could do exactly what Eliz just said.
But I said it differently.
But I'm going to say it
different inflection.
with a baritone voice.
Don't you like my velvety smooth baritone? Sorry, I only heard. I thought I was listening for it too, and I only heard.
Did I say
Goose
it
Mac
wrong?
and
You guys would
Dead
all be able
Horse.
to tell me.
I don't know.
I thought I said somebody's tired. Okay.
She is, isn't she?
Is it me? Who got it wrong?
One of us is tired. I don't know. We've both been tired. It's been an overcast day here, actually, guys. So.
Ever been to Madrid, New Mexico? No. Derek's been to Madrid, Spain.
Been to Madrid.
I didn't even know there was a Madrid, New Mexico. Can you tell me everything?
So, New Mexico, we wanted to stop in on this trip.
We wanted to do Santa Fe.
Because we wanted to do Santa Fe, we wanted to do Albuquerque. But mainly so I could say I knew I should have taken a left turn in Albuquerque. That's mainly why I wanted to do Albuquerque.
I also have my extended family has been to like Las Vegas, New Mexico, which is not Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Las Vegas, New Mexico, but apparently that's a really cool like artist community too.
And there's a train that you can take, I guess, from Chicago down to there, which is neat.
Yeah, Amtrak.
But yeah, no. So New Mexico was definitely on our list, but you know they had COVID restrictions in place that were specific to quarantines, and basically if you come from any state outside of New Mexico, you had to quarantine when you get there. And we are always very mindful of being respectful to local regulations and rules, and we couldn't justify doing a whole like week to 10 days just to do New Mexico.
Yeah, well, especially because I've already been to New Mexico. Derek got to like see it. He had never been before.
I saw sunset. I saw a sunset in New Mexico. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It's in the vlog. It's beautiful.
One of my least favorite places in New Mexico is Lordsburg, New Mexico. We went there. We went there. We barely
got
stopped.
gas.
Yeah, we got gas.
So good.
Mark Smith says, old mine town taken over by hippies 50 years ago. It's near Albuquerque, Madrid, New Mexico.
Sounds like fun.
Let's add it to the list for when New Mexico opens back up.
Hippie towns sound like they'd be a blast.
Yeah, it kind of sounds exactly like what I picture Las Vegas, New Mexico to be, which is outside of Santa Fe.
Yeah.
So
Santa Fe is like the number one thing on my list in New Mexico to see.
Yeah. Also, my roommate, when I first graduated college, I had two roommates. One of them was Catherine, and you guys got to meet her last October when we stayed with her in Greenwich in London, and she was on the live stream. Another of our roommates in that apartment was from Taos, New Mexico, which is like a ski resort town in upper altitudes in New Mexico, north of Santa Fe. And I've still never been, and she just like speaks so highly of Taos, and it's just like, this is the most beautiful place. And then my family who has been there is like, yes, it's a beautiful place, and I still gotta go. So Taos, New Mexico on the list as well.
No, babe. Wherever you are.
Mark says don't go to Las Vegas, New Mexico, so I guess not as good. Not as good as Madrid. And Eric, I feel like we talk about this all the time with you. New Mexico is one of the 6 states that he's still missing out on. But you'll get there very soon.
Well, wait, isn't Eric the one who said that something about West Texas?
Yeah, he said if he has to drive through West Texas, he's not going to New Mexico.
That's funny. Because West Texas is a little rough to drive through.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to see.
We're not going back the way that we came.
Other than, like, the oil derricks, like the pumps and stuff, which are kind of neat the first
it's
20
neat
that you see.
Yes, it's neat the first half hour. And then you're like,
I've got 6 more hours of this.
Yeah.
It's such a long drive through West Texas because it's massive.
And we got to Pecos, right? And we're like, okay, Pecos is the only place in between Abilene and El Paso, which is a 6-hour drive, that has either a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts. And all it had was a Dunkin' Donuts. And we pull up, and the Dunkin' Donuts is part of a pilot travel center. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna go in. We're gonna get our coffee. We're gonna go in. We're gonna get our coffee, and I'm gonna get my chocolate with sprinkles donut.
They did not have any chocolates.
We go in, and all the donuts had already been purchased. Like, all that was
No,
left,
that's not
all
true.
that was left was, like, the stupid donuts.
Oh
You
my
guys all
goodness.
know what I mean by the stupid donuts.
There's no such thing.
Yeah, no, there's
Every
absolutely...
donut has value and worth.
No. Like, only 20% of the donuts were still there, and it was the ones that, like, I was just like, I'm not gonna do this. So then I go out to the car, and I'm like, all right, let's make a sandwich. And Derek has the mustard explode everywhere, and then he puts hand mustard on my sandwich. And that's West Texas. So, thank you, Purdue. There are stupid donuts.
I would have eaten any of the donuts.
I had to eat hand mustard from Derek, and no chocolate donut with sprinkles.
Squeezed it out of my hand. It's like milking a cow.
And that was my experience of Pecos, Texas. The end.
No, there was an elevation change or something happened where all of a sudden I just like opened the mustard. I probably opened it like this. I probably like clicked it like this and just started like going.
Yep. You guys have all been there.
All over
you
my
know.
hand, and it was that was not good. But what I will say is it wasn't really a Dunkin' Donuts, right? You walked in, they had like a stand, like they had a case that had donuts in it, and otherwise it was like, because I was excited, I was like, oh, Dunkin' Donuts, I can get like good coffee, and then I was just kind of stuck with like truck stop coffee, which was fine, but yeah.
In my opinion, the stupid donuts are like the ones that are like, there's not enough frosting, or there's like nothing exciting about them.
Ew.
So, like,
Purdue
maybe
riced
these.
cauliflower donuts?
Yeah, those are
That's
stupid
gross.
donuts.
That would be a stupid donut. However, I will say, to me, cake donuts...
Oh, hi, Global Nico.
What's up? We were just talking about you, bud. So for anybody who wants, go check out...
Global Nico.
Well, I guess it's this way, Global Nico's channel, which is everybody's favorite... Well, there's a lot
Everyone's
of
favorite
Nicks.
brand
There's a lot of
new
Nicks.
YouTube channel.
But yes, everybody's favorite YouTube channel.
Everybody's favorite Nico.
Ooh, maple donuts
Maple donuts are good. So it was just,
Those are disgusting.
You guys know what I mean by stupid donuts, and just
Wait,
use your imagination.
Thomas, which ones are disgusting? Maybe the rice cauliflower donuts, which I've never heard of. That sounds like a fake.
That sounds
thing.
terrible.
I've done keto donuts before, and
But they weren't rice cauliflower. They were
definitely
like,
not. It was like almond flour.
Yeah, with like a lot of cinnamon.
Yeah.
And maple
and
extract
they're like,
and stuff.
it's one of those things where you like make it and you're like, yeah. I mean, it kind of is like a donut.
Yeah, I
but
think
it's
you
not a
made it
donut.
once, and you were like, "This isn't worth the effort of making
No.
them."
if you're trying to go like low carb dessert, in my book, the best thing you can do is like a cheesecake bite. Like do low carb cheesecake bites
Yeah.
using like Swerve sweetener and then like Philly cheesecake in there, or the Philadelphia cream cheese, and you can make a decadent, delicious dessert.
Yeah. But anyway, I was very much looking forward to our Dunkin' Donuts stop in Pecos, Texas. And it was
We're still talking about Pecos, Texas.
not fun. But then we stopped in El Paso, and it felt like when you arrive in El Paso after doing that drive, you're like, this is the best place on earth. We were like, look at all of the options. There's a P.F. Chang's. There's a Chipotle.
They have a Barnes and Noble.
They have a Barnes and Noble with a Starbucks in it. It felt like luxury.
It was nice. So Purdue is saying that's your guy that you tried to watch today.
We were gonna watch Dr. Berg today, and then I turned him off. Because
she
he
turned
gave
him
me
on,
like
and
a-
I'm like, oh yeah, no, I've watched a ton of this guy's
Dr.
stuff.
Berg served me a clickbait video that his title and his thumbnail did not match the video, and I got sad.
No, it did. It was what happens when you don't eat sugar for.
Yeah,
14 days.
but he was talking. But what he meant was what happens when you don't eat
Carbs. It was more like carbs, yeah.
And he didn't realize that I know the difference. Dr. Berg.
I like Dr. Berg. He's great. I love his content on like fasting specifically. The longest fast I've probably ever done is 3 days, 4 days, something like that.
Lori, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Fresh strawberries are the bee's knees. Also, if you're, grapes are not no carb, but like, they're
Grapes
great.
are very high carb.
Yeah,
actually.
they're a very great like road trip snack because of course, as long as you've cleaned them in advance and stuff like that. But they just travel really well.
We did. So our go-to lunch when we were in the UK was a ham sandwich with grapes and chips and a drink. So that was like our go-to. Like we would pack that lunch like every time we went anywhere.
Once we get to the Scotland vlogs, Derek and I start getting really silly, and we're like, "This video is sponsored by ham sandwiches."
Because that's all we eat.
But you guys are probably not going to see those for like a couple months. Sorry.
That'll be a year from now that you get that joke.
Yeah, you're going to be like, oh, I remember when they said this.
Well, and it feels the same now because now we're just doing it as like, but we're doing it in like low carb tortillas. We're like ham wraps this time. Like, everything's beige.
Mark Smith had sushi tonight, which that's like my favorite food. So hats off to you. I'm jealous.
So we've been in Utah for almost a month now. It'll be a month next week, Wednesday, when we leave here. And we have made our own food the entire time we've been here in St. George, with the exception of 3 times we have ordered Thai food, Thai sushi.
Thai sushi.
Which is a place that is Thai
and it's
food
not
and it also
Thai
has sushi.
It's that they serve Thai and they serve sushi. And
that's
both,
the only thing we've ordered the whole time we've been here.
both options are delicious.
Yes. So Benja Thai, very nice, very, very delicious. And we actually still have some in the fridge for her to have for lunch tomorrow. Nick Barnett! Wow!
Nick Barnett's is on.
I can't believe it's already been that long since you've gone out there.
I know. It's been, so we came back December 7th, so it's been like 3 months since
And then he means here in Utah.
Oh, I know. It's been a month since we've even been in the West. We
With
got
these
out,
beautiful paintings behind us.
Yeah, we arrived in like the West. We arrived in Tucson on February 8th in the evening. So yeah, we've been out here for over a month now. And we're gonna be here for a while longer.
And if you can't tell, I've got a little bit more color than I did.
Yeah, I mean,
when we first got
we
here.
probably both do. Scotland didn't help us, and then
my hair is also shorter now.
Yeah. So Lori says she loves grapes as snack food. Just pop it in your mouth. Absolutely. Just super easy to take, and then like you kind of don't need to bring like a dessert with you because a lot of them are very sweet.
Ooh, Mark is saying that his favorite lunch in Ireland was mussels and white sauce. That sounds yummy.
That's amazing. One of my favorite meals when I was in Ireland, I went to an oyster shack with my best friend, with Rachel. You guys all know her now because I just posted the video with her yesterday. So I'm just going to call her Rachel now. So she and I went together, and she doesn't really eat raw foods. And so I remember being like, listen, I'm going to order a plate of oysters, and you're going to eat one. And that way you can say that you've had oysters straight out of Galway Bay. Because this was like an oyster shack literally on Galway Bay. And I'm like, this way you can say it to people. And she's like, okay. And she like ate it. She's like, nope, still don't like raw foods. And I'm like, well, you did it. And that's half the point, is that you did it. So I was very proud of her. And then I ate the rest of the oysters. And I was like, all mine.
So whenever we go to a place that has like fresh oysters and it's like a nice place, I always order oysters. And if there's 6 of them, I'll have 2, she'll have 4, and we're both very happy with that.
I love them.
I
don't even put like all the things on
Oysters
them.
are okay for me. I always, my issue is I feel like I always get like the detritus.
The what?
Like every time like I do it, I get like bits of
Like
shell,
parts of the shell.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always like pulling shell out of my
When
mouth.
you do like the oyster happy hours, that's very common, I feel, because like the places don't do as good of a job. But if you're at a place that like knows their oysters, I feel like that doesn't happen as much.
I feel like out of the 6, there's 2 that have like shell in it.
Yeah.
And I get both of them. So You might get bit by bugs. I eat shell.
You kind of have to like. You have to like filter it with your teeth a little.
Like a whale?
Like a whale.
Like a whale eating kelp?
Yeah. Like you have to filter it out, the shell. No, I'm kind of kidding, but I'm kind of not. You guys who eat oysters, you know. An elephant booger. Ah, yeah. Okay, thanks for ruining it. Rude.
That's funny, Lord. So oysters are good though, and I think it's just a fun experience to like try like local foods wherever you go. So when you're on the East Coast or West Coast, and you try different oysters. I know you're partial to East Coast oysters.
East Coast oysters versus
You think they're sweeter?
I'm East Coast oysters no matter what. If you're in America, I have heard. There's a rumor.
Namibia?
Yeah, there's a rumor that Namibian oysters are like the absolute best out in the entire world.
Something about how the water.
Yeah, there's something about the water stream and stuff right off the coast of Namibia, but I haven't been to Africa. Derek has. I have not. And that is 100% something I'm trying if I get to Namibia.
So that is a trip that we're doing just for the oysters. Is Namibia for her.
So it sounds like nobody but me likes oysters. Thanks everybody for the support.
Oysters are fine.
They're fine. Yeah.
I prefer mussels. Like
Mark
French
Finley's going to
mussels.
be in Hawaii, by the way, in 12 hours from now.
That's amazing. I'm very jealous. I feel like we always have our Chromecast basically like streaming through the TV, doing like the different pictures and everything. And I feel like every time a Hawaii picture comes on, I'm just like, we should go there, right? Like we should definitely be in Hawaii right now. And we're never in Hawaii.
Hawaii is one of the 15 states that I have not been to. I'm hoping on our trip, like our road trip home, I get to hit a
Hawaii
lot.
somehow?
No, not Hawaii.
That would be a heck of a road trip.
That'd be hard. That would be a hard
Just
one.
take a duck tour.
Yeah. I'm hoping on our road trip home I get to hit more new states for me. Because Derek got to do 3 new states for him on our road trip here. And I only had 1. And I would like to hit more. So that way I can be cool.
Okay. I don't know even what my count is of U.S. states. I don't know how many I've been to. But Eliz,
Nobody's liking oysters but me. Wait, oysters are big here, but I hate the texture. I'm not well versed in oysters. Oh, okay, Mark Smith says I love select oysters. Okay, well,
Okay.
I mean, thanks for being the closest to my oyster place of all the people in the chat.
Well, I think it's in your family blood.
One of your
Mom
great grandfather's early gigs was a sales rep for an oyster company in Maryland. That I actually didn't know. Thank you for that. I'm trying to think of which great grandfather that would even be. My guess is it's somebody on my mom's side, since my mom said that.
So,
anywhere in Canada.
I'm more of a mussels guy, like French mussels, like in like the white wine broth and like with some bread.
I didn't know there were California oyster beds. Sorry.
Speaking of other things that are chewy like that, escargot is my favorite.
Yeah.
Textured
Do you
thing
guys
like that.
escargot? Have you ever tried it? It is snails covered in butter. Please let us know in the chat.
Very herby butter.
Yeah. Derek and I love it. Like, I go
out of my way.
Yeah, we went when we were in York. We went to a French restaurant just because it had escargot on the menu.
In fact, we looked it up and said if it doesn't have escargot,
Yeah.
we're not going.
Well, I mean, we've been to French restaurants that didn't have escargot.
And
we
we've
still
always
went.
been upset about it.
But yeah, we've been sad. We haven't been upset, but we've been sad.
I've been upset.
Okay.
I mean, there's 2 things I can't stand: square pillows and no escargot.
Yeah, Derek has standards.
I have standards, guys. I need escargot and I need
Rectangular
pillows. For those who weren't on earlier, we stayed at a Best Western this last week, and all it had were like small square pillows. If you take 2 of them and put them together, that would be like a normal pillow. And I got very upset by the whole like. I felt like I was getting like shortchanged on my pillows.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay, but quick question about escargot. Just a little survey. We both agree on this. I already know, but escargot. If it's served with or without shells, how do you feel?
Prefer it in a shell.
Exactly. Me too.
So there's 2 ways that you can do it. They have like escargot plates that like have like little divots for like, and it's like 6 in a plate usually.
It kind of looks like a deviled eggs.
It's like, yeah, and they could put just the snail into that with like the butter and herbs, and then you just take it out and you like dip your bread in it and stuff, and it's still good. I mean, it tastes delicious. But the way I prefer it is like you can buy escargot shells, and again, it's one of those things where like they have the shell and they have the snail piece of it, and then they put them into the other. It's not like it comes like in a shell and then they cook it. They usually come separately and then they stuff them and then bake them in the shell.
With
which
the
is
shell,
just,
they give you
just
the
adds
little
a little,
tongs.
yeah, it adds a little je ne sais quoi. A little
Yeah.
I don't know what.
The tongs just like add to the experience. Lori Sims says she had escargot her first trip to Paris when she was 16 and have not had it since. It always reminds me, I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have seen It Takes Two, starring Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
It takes two, baby.
But,
Just me and you.
yep, that was the theme song. And one of them eats escargot in it, and they just describe it as like, I mean, I saw this when I was like 7, right? And she's like, chewy, slimy. And then like for like 20 years after seeing that scene, I was like, ugh. And then I finally tried escargot, and I was like, oh, just kidding, it's amazing.
Yeah. So the first time I ever had escargot, because this has devolved into an escargot show, the very
Which
first
we will
time
transition out of
I
in
ever had
30
escargot
seconds.
was on a cruise. The only cruise I've ever been on. So I went on a cruise my sophomore year of college for spring break, and one of my fraternity brothers, it was like with him and his family, and there's like a bunch of us from the fraternity that were all on this trip together, and we're all sitting down to dinner on the ship, and it was the night that like escargot was being served, and I had never had it before, so I was thinking like that kind of like ew, snails, yeah, and I didn't think it was gonna sound like great. And he ordered, he's like, can I have 2 of the escargots, please? And I was like, well, if he's getting 2 of them, it must be good. And I thought of him as kind of a picky eater. So I got an order of it as well, and I was just like, oh my God, it's just butter, basically. It's kind of like Brussels sprouts. I just feel like it's a conduit for butter into your life. And, you know, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Bye, Ronnie. Thanks for joining. Hopefully see you on April 1st. In Rhode Island,
Big
they
Wide
had
World.
snail salad. Ooh, I don't know if I would do snail salad.
Interesting. I just like escargot because of the butter.
Yeah,
there's Big
like
Wide
if it
World.
didn't have butter and garlic, I don't know if
Yeah.
it would be the same.
There's Big Wide World said, I've tried them but don't have a strong like or dislike for them. The other way that I've had snails that I enjoyed was caracoles in Spain, which is like a cumin broth snail thing that you can get at like tapas or something like that. And those are actually in the shell. And they're smaller snails. They're not like big escargot snails. They're smaller. And those are something where it's cooked in a broth and you actually like pick out the shell, then you like suck the snail out of it, sort of thing. So it's a little bit different. You need to make sure that if you get those at like a good establishment that like rinses them well and everything, because I've definitely had them before where, because they come from like sandy beaches, you can get like gritty
That's the
sand
same
in
with
them.
mussels, though. Somebody was mentioning mussels before. Like, you have to make sure that you're not ordering them at like an establishment that doesn't know how to prepare them, because mussels need to be prepared like in a very specific hygienic way for it to be safe to eat.
Well, it's not just about safe. It's just make sure that like all the sand and grit gets out
Yeah.
too, because like that just ruins a dining experience. If all of a sudden like you get sand in your mouth, that's like not good.
Yeah. We also had like French Canadian escargot when we were in Long Island City at
Ooh.
what was-
Wells.
Yeah, well, Wells Steakhouse, which was a
Quebecois.
Quebecois
Place.
Michelin starred restaurant in our old New York City neighborhood.
Right
And
across the street from our building. So we
it was
went
like
there.
a special escargot. What was it? It wasn't the normal French one.
It was bone marrow escargot.
That's right.
So it was served with bone marrow, and that was delicious. Super good.
I prefer regular French
Yeah,
escargot.
standard's better.
But it was still an experience and it was cool.
Yeah.
Woo, this is a new white wine. I just opened a new bottle and it's like totally different. I'm just like, whoa.
Whereas my Michelob Ultra is the same as I've been drinking.
There is stupid escargot.
That's funny.
They're stupid donuts.
Stupid donuts, stupid
And
escargot.
the stupid donuts are still around 2 p.m. in Pecos, Texas.
Well, I do think that you and I both looked at each other at M. Wells and we were kind of like, why ruin a classic?
Yeah.
Like, why mess with something that's like perfect already? But okay, that's enough escargot.
Yeah.
We're done talking about something else.
We're probably losing the non-snail fans. Did we finish everything about the national parks?
I don't know. You have the notes.
Do you have anything that you wanted to say?
National parks are great.
Okay, all right. There's 2 more bullets that I have here. Well, 3, because we kind of talked about the information centers, but didn't get into this exact point. At all 3 of the national parks, the actual information centers,
Like the visitor centers.
were closed. The buildings themselves, and they had tables out front, like in front of the doors, and the rangers were like at the other side of the table, and then you'd walk up to the table and the ranger would hand you the map and answer any questions and stuff like that. But okay, I don't want to misspeak. This was at Bryce and at Zion. It was this way, and then at Capitol Reef you could go into the place, but it didn't. They had the vast majority of the building was portioned off, and all you could do was walk up to the ranger behind plexiglass and talk to them. So in all 3 parks, it was a very like socially distanced from the rangers, but you could still get the information that you needed. But I thought that was interesting, because it was definitely a very different information center, visitor center experience than we'd had.
Yeah.
It didn't bother us, but it was just different. Then also, so this is mostly what you're going to experience in Utah National Parks. It's going to be very dry and very sunny. There are, of course, going to be days where it's not. Today, for example, was like one of the first days of our entire trip so far that it has been rainy the entire day for the most part here. But more likely than not, you're going to experience sunny weather and dry weather. So,
What's up, Mark?
Walter's World, welcome. Hello. Big hugs to you too. So what you're going to find is that you want to bring more like lotion, more sunscreen, more like you need sunglasses, you need a hat. All of those protective things.
Yeah, no matter
to battle
what.
the elements.
Yeah, no matter where you're gonna want those things, just always like make sure you're looking at weather and all that stuff in advance before you go to any sort of like national park, state park, etc. Because you want to make sure that you are definitely protecting yourself from the elements and that you're just always prepared. When it comes to Utah, like Eliz was saying, very dry, no matter the season, basically. I mean.
Derek has
so
had to
dry.
use.
I'm just like lotion
we
all
bought
the time.
like an entire normal sized bottle of Jergens lotion at Target since coming here, because like we've already used up. I brought like one of those 2-ounce Nalgene bottles that I use as like a carry on. It's like gone.
So yeah, just
hand
make sure
lotion, especially because of all of the like Purell and stuff like. Since it's dry, plus you're using that more, it's like bring hand lotion, bring like lip balm. It's so much drier than almost every climate.
Yeah, and then I think the last thing on our list to talk about was really about the like food options. So like food options around the national parks here in Utah at least have been rather lackluster. So like for instance around Bryce Canyon there just wasn't a lot of like restaurants that were open.
Yeah.
In the Bryce area.
Especially
so, like,
for lunch.
Especially for lunch. We went, there was maybe like 3 options for dinner. They all closed by like 9 o'clock. Some of them closed more like at 8 o'clock.
There was actually 5 options for dinner, and our hotel at check-in had listed all of them.
Yeah.
But we checked in at like 6:50 p.m.
So there wasn't
right
a lot
at
of time.
sunset, and the restaurant that we wanted to go to closed at 8. So like we had to get all of our stuff in and get to the restaurant and eat, and before they closed.
Yeah, well they sat us still, but yeah, no, it was. We were definitely like the last ones there. Like
Yeah.
we felt like we need to like hurry up, pay, and get out of here.
Yeah.
Because we felt bad about that, but it was good, and we had a great homemade pie. But for lunch, there was like no options. There was one Subway in Bryce, and so that's what we got.
Like Subway sandwiches.
Subway sandwiches. So we got Subway for lunch, which was the first time we'd had Subway in ages.
I hadn't had it in like, I want to say 10 years.
So Eliz ordered.
I didn't even know
poorly.
what to order.
She ordered wrong.
Yeah.
I ordered.
There was no argument. I ordered wrong.
I ordered correctly because I have more Subway experience, I guess. I got the chicken bacon ranch, which was delicious.
I got the chicken teriyaki sandwich, and it was...
Well, you didn't order it correctly.
It was terrible.
you should have ordered it with like a sauce and like other stuff. You ordered with like cucumbers and like tomato.
Anyway, so, but there was only like... We looked up, as we were leaving Bryce Canyon, we wanted to, like, book it to Zion. We're like, all right, we have to stop at, like, a fast food restaurant for lunch. We're like, what are the fast food restaurant options between the 2 national parks, which are, like, a 2-hour drive from each other?
And there was, like, no options.
And there was one Subway.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of good options. It was even, like, there was no McDonald's. I was like, wow. They did it, guys. There's no McDonald's.
There's no McDonald's. And this was on,
hours.
like, Interstate 12 Scenic Byway. So, like, yeah, there's not a lot of McDonald's on the Scenic Byway. Sure, I get it. Praise to you guys for keeping it scenic. But, like,
What I will
we
say,
were like,
though,
where do we eat?
I'm assuming it's because of that, but, like, the pricing at the Subway was kind of nuts. For the 2 of us to have our meals, it was like $23, $24, something like that. Crazy. So you can get away with getting Subway or something like that, but it's going to be expensive, way more expensive than bringing your own lunches. We didn't want to pack the cooler and deal with all that stuff for just a 1-day trip.
If we wanted to
But,
sit
yeah, it was
down,
crazy.
we easily could have eaten at like Bryce Canyon Lodge or any of the other local restaurants. There were a handful that were open, so I will let you guys know if you're considering it. Like there are options, but if you're in a hurry, we didn't have a packed lunch, so it was just, I mean, few and far between is like generous. It was Subway.
Well, we didn't we didn't have a packed lunch for the second day. We took a packed lunch for the first day.
We did.
When we went to Capitol Reef,
Yeah.
we did our beige ham wraps basically. But yeah, no, it was it was fine.
Thomas says he used to eat at Subway in Chicago when he was doing laundry. Great choice. I will say, I prefer Potbelly over Subway if I'm in Chicago.
Oh gosh, yes.
Potbelly is
so
like
good.
the Chicago sandwich shop, but it's now a much more national-wide chain than ever before.
Potbelly's good.
Yeah.
And Subway, I mean, I ate Subway a ton back in the day and stuff. Like, we were laughing, though, because, Subway's been in the news quite a bit about, in Ireland with, like, the bread and also, like, is it tuna and, like, all that.
In Ireland, I guess bread from Subway can't be called bread.
It has, like, too much sugar and other stuff in it to be legally considered bread in Ireland. So it's just, like, little things like that we found kind of funny and, like, I was telling Eliz, I was like, oh, I almost wanted to get the tuna sandwich, and she hates tuna, so for her that was like would have been torture for me to eat tuna in front of her.
Which Mark Smith's probably like, but you love sushi, and I'm like,
she
yes.
hates tuna sushi.
I mean, hate is a strong word, but like, tuna's the last fish that I would want to eat out of every fish.
Out of every fish, you'd rather do puffer fish, the poison
That
fish?
one's scary.
I've had that before. I was very nervous when I had
I mean,
at a sushi restaurant.
Haven't you guys had that before?
It's the one that has like a neural
I've
toxin.
seen people eat it before, but I've never had the bravery. This is why I'm not a Gryffindor. Like, you know.
Is that what a puffer fish is? Is like
all the people that eat puffer fish would clearly be in the Gryffindor house.
Is that a question on the Harry Potter quiz? Would you eat puffer fish?
It should be.
Yes
it's
or
not,
no?
I don't think.
Yeah, it can kill you. It's not that if it's cooked incorrectly, it's if it's sliced up incorrectly, because there's a gland in the puffer fish that has like a neural toxin in it, and if they accidentally puncture that when they're cutting it, that's what can kill you.
Yeah, Lori, no puffer fish for me either.
I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't like go out of my way.
Where did you eat it?
In New York, at a very nice sushi place called Sushi Yasuda.
So you
very,
trusted it.
It was peer pressure. That's
Oh,
what it
was
really
it?
was.
Okay.
I was there with a number of other people, and they were like, "We're getting it." So I was like, "All right, I guess I'm getting it too." And they're like, "Yeah, if you feel any numbness in your tongue,
call 911."
no, it was more like you're screwed.
Oh God.
Very, very nervous.
Thank God you lived. We're all grateful.
I'm still here, guys.
Yeah.
Or am I?
Yeah, I'm good on that. I'd eat Subway over the puffer.
Me too.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I took one bite of my chicken teriyaki Subway sandwich, and I was like, "This is so horrible." I'm throwing out the rest. I'm sure normal Subway sandwiches. I ordered the wrong thing. Hands down.
You ordered the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I loved mine.
Sure
I got my chicken bacon ranch.
Yeah.
It's delicious. Scarfed it all down.
Eric B says he ate Subway by Notre Dame in Paris. The ingredients were so different, like corn. I like corn on my sub. Yeah, you can get it in a lot of different places. I've seen Subway all over the world.
China.
Yeah, we saw it in China, right?
I think so.
I think so too.
Definitely KFC in China.
Yeah, KFC was
is
everywhere.
all over
And
China.
McDonald's. Yeah.
All right, so I mean that's really the things we had to talk about national parks.
Do you guys have questions on the national parks at all? Because we are here to answer them.
Because we're like, we should really end our national park discussion on Subway.
Yeah, I mean, we ate Subway.
We ate fresh. It was delicious.
I was just happy that the friend that I was just going to say the Subway at Notre Dame. Yeah. We went to McDonald's on the Champs-Élysées on our first trip to Paris. When we were in college.
It was the fanciest McDonald's I'd ever been.
And they served like croissants and pain au chocolat. And I was just like
their McCafe
this is the best
was
McDonald's.
Like on point.
Yeah, and their coffee was good. Approve.
I mean, the thing that we saw in the UK a lot was we saw a ton of Krispy Kreme in the UK when we were out there. So like just talking about US chains, I'm thinking specifically not just in like Scotland, but also down in like Portsmouth. Like we were in that like mall area and they had Krispy Kremes there. Like I felt like they were all over the place.
Yeah.
They at least had like the little kiosks. I remember seeing in I want to say it was in Exeter. In Exeter, they had like a Krispy Kreme like food truck at one of these places.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were with me for that one. Maybe we went to it twice, but I went out there like to get us lunch or something like that. That's the time I got lost before one of our live streams, I think. But yeah, tons of U.S. chains out there.
Somebody wrote. Oh yeah, so Nick Barnett says KFC is very popular in China. Yes.
KFC was the first Western chain to make it into China.
My students that I've taught from China have told me how popular it is there, even more than McDonald's. Absolutely. We actually had so Derek and I took a lot of the same classes at the Kelly School of Business when we went to college together.
Yeah.
And our marketing class, junior year, our professor was from China, and he talked about how, like, McDonald's, when he was still there,
it was like a big deal.
Recently, I don't know how recent, but like recently had entered China, and when it did, it was a huge deal to like eat there. And he's like, people would like, I would take my dates there to McDonald's.
Didn't he
to,
propose to his wife there or something?
No. But like he was like, I would take my dates there to like impress them and stuff. So it's just funny how that can be the case, and I think it's because he was the way that he was explaining it is like the pricing was the same in the U.S. McDonald's as it was in China, but in China that meant it was like a pretty expensive meal.
Yeah.
At that time, which would have been probably the 90s or something like that. So, I think KFC is similar, and I mean, fried chicken is part of a lot of Chinese dishes, so it probably feels familiar as well.
Nick Barnett, I've had to tell many of them that they'd love Popeyes if they think KFC is so awesome. Nice. Well, it's just one of those
What's
things.
What's your favorite fried chicken place?
Hattie B's, hot chicken.
Fair.
Nashville.
My favorite is actually White Fence Farm Chicken.
Ooh, yeah, never mind, that's it. That one's the best. I changed my answer, guys.
Okay. Okay. First of all, other than my parents, who I know have had White Fence Farm, because
it's only the people who've been to like the Chicago area.
If anyone's been to Chicago and eaten White Fence Farm chicken, please put it in the comments.
And again, this is not like a Chicago institution. This is not like Lou Malnati's.
Oh, it's not an institution. There's only two locations.
But there's only two locations. They're both in like Chicago area. But like they're not like this.
I
is
feel
not
like
like
Thomas Reiser is the only person that, and maybe if Mark Walters is still on.
But like White Fence Farm is delicious. Like they cook their chicken twice, right? They bake it then fry it or something like that.
Yeah, well they bake it and then they flash fry it.
So good. And they also serve like unlimited like hush puppies or something like that too, or corn fritters. No, it's corn fritters.
Corn fritters.
Oh man.
They're like, there's like a light coating of sugar around the corn fritters.
Thomas doesn't like it. He said he's had White Fence Farm and yuck. It's delicious. It's pretty darn good. It's like really crunchy and delightful.
So there's White Fence Farm is in the western suburbs. There's a to-go. Okay, so now I feel like I'm questioning it because it's been several years. For my grandfather's 90th birthday in like 2013.
This is the only time I've had it, and it was amazing.
We went to the restaurant, which is in the western suburbs, and then every other time I think we've picked it up from the to-go stand in Downers Grove. Glenn Camp is back. UNC's into the semifinals. Nice.
Woo-hoo.
I get White Fence Farm. Okay, yeah, my mom's into it. Thomas is not. Yeah. So White Fence Farm chicken, holla. Hattie B's is also good. That's Nashville. But we like at
it was established in the 1920s.
Yeah. My grandfather was obsessed, and so like I became obsessed because I was really close to my grandmother and my grandfather. If you guys saw our second travel vlog from our trip out west, I mentioned that I was really close with my grandmother. She lived a block away from me while I was growing up, and so she lived with my grandfather too, so I was close with him too. And they both loved White Fence Farm so much, and so we would do that for like birthdays and just like family gatherings and stuff. And so I associate it with like happy, fun times.
Yeah, so I think the original was in Romeoville, and so they have restaurants. They have places in Riverside, Joliet, Romeoville, and Downers Grove.
They've expanded.
So they got 4, and they're
And Romeoville and Bolingbrook, I believe, are like right next to each other, which
And
is
I-
why Thomas Reiser's saying that.
and I think that they've been closed due to COVID, and they're reopening on the 17th of this month.
Okay, Mom, thank you for adding that. I knew there was some sort of connection. So she's saying my grandfather, my papa, sold the corn to White Fence Farm stores. So my grandfather was a food broker in the Chicago area and sold to like tons and tons of restaurants, and we would like go eat at all these restaurants because he would know everybody and everything. And so I knew there was some sort of family connection to White Fence Farm as well,
Yeah.
but like he loved it there.
Yeah, it was good.
And I loved it too. I really did.
Yeah. So next time we're back, we're gonna go and get
Corn for the fritters. That must be why you guys let me eat the corn fritters, because I wasn't allowed to eat sugary cereal, but corn fritters.
But yeah, so I mean, we don't really have anything else to talk about. If you guys have, burning questions or anything like that, we're happy to.
Somebody did ask a question, I think, about. Sorry, I'm backing up a lot. I'm so sorry if we missed a question about the national parks. I feel like somebody wrote one, and then I got distracted by corn fritters and escargot.
And Subway.
And Subway. Yes, Mark Smith says, are you guys going to all of the national parks?
Eventually, yeah. I'd like to say eventually we are, but there's a ton. There's 53 now.
Yeah, they keep
54?
adding some. How
They
are we
just
supposed to
added
keep
one
up?
this year, in West Virginia, I think. Something Gorge.
Oh, the New River Gorge is now a national park?
Yeah, New River Gorge just
I want to
got
go there
added.
so badly. New River Gorge is like high on my list of places to go. It was definitely on when I had plotted out from Cincinnati. I'd plotted out a trip through New River Gorge, and then all through the southern states. But we haven't been able to do that yet.
So, yes, we would love to go to all of them. There's quite a few in Alaska that are kind of hard to get to that you kind of have to like fly into basically to get into. So,
and even the one in northern Michigan's hard to get to.
yeah, so things like that were not on this trip and not in the near future. But there's quite a few that we want to get to. Like
the problem is we forgot to start collecting stickers. I don't mean by forgot, but like, there's all those cool people that collect all the stickers from all the national parks, and they
stick
get all
them
the
on the back of their
stickers.
cars and stuff.
And we didn't do that from the get-go, so now we'd have to like circle back to the ones we've already been to.
Buy them on eBay.
Huge regrets.
Yeah, no, but we are going to go to, like, Joshua Tree when we're in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we make it up to, like, some of the other California
My
parks, but...
My friend Rachel, not Rachel that you guys just met yesterday on the channel, but Rachel from Seattle, who was on the channel a year ago, when I interviewed her about what COVID was like in Seattle last March. She really wants us to go up to Washington on this trip. And she's like, Rainier National Park. She's like, it's like cheerleading. And I'm like, that's a far drive from southern Utah, but we'll see if we can make that work.
Glenn is saying, just came back from Destin. First time there, but really enjoyed it. Discovered a new favorite fish, fried...
Triggerfish at Dewey Destin's. Really tasty.
Interesting. So my brother actually was just
did you see anybody that looked like Derek while you were there? They're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah, so my family's been down there and they've been enjoying it and everything. So yeah. Nick Barnett says, I'd like to go to Yellowstone and I'm really trying to squeeze that in sometime in the next few months. Yeah, Yellowstone would be really cool. I've never been.
Okay, if we go back to Chicago via the northern route, we are absolutely doing like Idaho, Yellowstone, Montana, because I just want to go. First of all, I just want to go so badly, but there are also states I haven't been to, so it's kind of like a double whammy. Like, I really just want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, yes.
You do too.
I mean, I want to go to all of them, right? I want to hit every single national park, and to me that would be phenomenal, and that's like kind of a bucket list thing for me is to hit all of them. But I know that that's the work of years. That's not going to happen right now. And so it's just about if we're near one, let's go to it, right? So like for instance, Palm Springs, we're going to go to Joshua Tree.
Yeah. Eric, Joshua Tree is like 3 hours from Vegas, so it is a drive. Like Zion's a little bit closer, but you could do it. I'd say in a day. There's probably trips.
Actually, Eric B, I think, asked about Death Valley from Vegas.
Yeah, that one's close.
And I think Lori might have mentioned about, when you go and it's like in bloom, it can be very beautiful. Any other time of the year, basically it's just like
summer.
Hot.
So the uncle that I mentioned earlier on this, he did a ton of research in Death Valley, right? And he
was doing like field research.
And he was talking to us before, on Sunday night before we did all of the Utah trips, and he's like, when I went to Death Valley, I was seeing a rattlesnake.
Weekly, multiple
No.
times.
He was saying daily, like multiple times a day. Yeah. And his dad was like freaking out about it. And so, especially in the summertime, you just have to be really careful in Death Valley. Yeah. It's just like brings so much water. There's so many guides now, though. Like the internet exists now, which it didn't exist for him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and so just understanding like those things and like nature's hard sometimes, and like the tarantulas, the scorpions, the rattlesnakes, things like that you might have to deal with, and being prepared.
And like he was doing field research, so he was able to go where the general public was not and stuff. See, I would only do Death Valley in the summer, with a way to track the temperature, to experience how insane the conditions are. I mean, Nick, you do you. I mean, people do it.
My dad, and his family, it was my dad, his two brothers, so my dad, two brothers, his parents, and his grandma, my abuelita. All six of them were in like their like camper van with no air conditioning, driving through Death Valley in the summertime, and that's nuts. Like that is disgusting and hot.
And they didn't have AC.
No air conditioning.
Yeah.
And that was, I guess, not a lot of fun.
Mark Smith says 3 gallons of water per person at minimum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do not skimp on water. Always have backup water in your cars, no matter where you're going in the desert, whether that's like Tucson, whether you're in Arizona, New Mexico, California, wherever, have tons of water.
We have a flat of water bottles in our car
at all times. We have a ton of water in our car.
For this trip.
Yeah.
We actually have not been, neither of us have been to Death Valley.
Yeah.
I've just heard about it so much that I feel like I can speak to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if somehow we made it there on this trip. But yeah. Death Valley should be okay in March for sure. Yeah, I agree with you, Eric. Just like Palm Springs, where we're going, I mean, that's in the desert as well. Mm-hmm. It's not in the Mojave Desert, which is where Death Valley is. It's in the Sonoran Desert. Snoring Desert, as you all like to call it. But Palm Springs is, I mean, it's going to be in the mid-80s when we're there, and that's March.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, we were talking about that because, when we started packing for this trip, we were packing for, 60s and stuff like that. We weren't really thinking about going to Palm Springs. And now we're going to go to a place where the highs are going to be more like in the 80s, and, I think you brought one pair of shorts. I brought two pairs of shorts.
Yeah, one pair of shorts.
And we're just like, we might need to buy some clothes while we're here because it's going to be warm. So, yeah. So Glenn is saying that Montana is not a national park, but Mish Glacier. Yes. However, it has to be on the 4th of July, as the Go Into the Sun Highway often isn't open until then.
Oh, no way. Well, we'll see if we're still out west by the 4th of July. I could see it going either way. Glenn also missed the Derek lookalike in Destin. I don't know if Matt's really a lookalike, but you know, you get the similar vibes. Also, Matt would be with like a 2-month-old baby, so you might not associate him with Derek at that point either. Nick says, even though I'm not a hot weather person, it's still most unique and cool thing about the place to me, so I'd go then. Bring the 3 gallons of water and make sure you tell someone where you're at, and then you'll be fine. Lori Sim says, how is 131 degrees sound not uncommon during the summer? Yeah. So this is reminding me of my friend who, I've mentioned him before on this channel, and I've actually done a podcast with him through Means to Travel stuff way, way long ago. But he's the person that we stayed with in Shanghai, and now he lives in Singapore. But he used to live in Dubai years ago now. And when we were trying to get out to Dubai to go visit him, he was like, basically don't come, but anywhere from May to September, because it's 131 degrees. You're not gonna want to go outside. People he would actually, as a resident of Dubai, he would do a long-term car rental between those months, so that way he could drive to work, because the public transportation that he would take between September and April was just too unbearable. So this is just reminding me of temperature wise, very similar to the Death Valley stuff.
Did you read Glenn's thing about Joshua Tree already?
For Joshua Tree, bring your water. If you are going to be there long, there are no places to get food or water in the park. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's very helpful, and we appreciate that, Glenn.
We did get, for those of you guys who follow me on Instagram, we got a guidebook on Sunday night to all of the national parks in the western United States, so that way hopefully we're going to be at least a little bit forewarned for whenever we visit them. But what I didn't tell you guys is that on my birthday, February 28th, Derek, Rachel, and I go for a hike at Anasazi Trail here in St. George, in Utah.
Petroglyphs,
amazing. And I'm hiking in between all of these rocks and stuff because I wanted to go and see all the petroglyphs. And my Nalgene water bottle hits the rocks, and the rock, the boulder shoves it out of my backpack side pocket, and it just starts tumbling down. It's pew, 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 pew. It doesn't fall all the way down. I was able to go get it, but by the time we go get it,
I was able.
Oh, Derek was able. Yeah, because Derek went and got it. By the time we got it, now water bottles are supposed to be indestructible, right?
Not this one.
Not this one.
Yeah, it broke and water got everywhere. But you know what?
I lost
had
all my water.
We had spare water, so that's the important thing.
No,
had backups.
yeah. So I had to steal some of Derek's water, but then I had to go and buy a new water bottle on this trip. So
and now you have a pink one.
Now I have a pink one. How cute.
You're so happy about that.
Yeah.
So we're, we like to be prepared for that stuff, and, Glenn, we really appreciate the heads up on that, especially about the food thing. So, understanding, take food with you before you go to certain places because there's not options. I falsely thought there would be more options around Bryce Canyon, thinking, Bryce Canyon's a super popular place for tourists. That
or even
would just have more options.
In between Bryce and Zion, we foolishly were there are towns there, so there must be food there.
Yeah.
And that was an incorrect assumption.
Well, and there were a number of places that were restaurants, but they were closed. They just weren't open. So whether that's because it's just not on peak season or
I'm sure in the summertime it'd be fine.
So,
we could have gotten gas station food.
We could have, yeah.
It's like there wasn't no options.
And in the
but
UK, I would do that. I would get like pasties in the UK from like the gas station. I'm like
Spar.
or whatever, yeah. And I'm like, this is great. Why not? Eliz ate baked beans out of a can from a Spar.
Get ready, guys, because whenever I get to the North Coast 500 vlogs, there is an episode where I buy a can of Heinz baked beans and I have a wooden spork and I just eat it straight out of the can. Like a freaking crazy person. Like, I don't even know. And Derek at the time was like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, this is the only thing that sounded good. I don't know.
I ate a hot sausage roll and it was delicious. Like, I was like, I don't know why you don't want this flaky pastry thing that I'm eating. But yeah, no, she's like, this is what I want. I'm like, okay.
Nick says definitely having adequate food, water, and clothing will make a difference between having a happy, fun experience or a nightmare you'll never want to relive.
Yes.
Yes. Was it good? I'm guessing the Heinz baked beans is the question mark there. It tasted like room temperature Heinz baked beans.
Eric B. Yuck, I hate beans all except jelly beans. That's funny. Vienna sausage, no. Purdue, sausage roll or beans? I'm more of a sausage roll guy. I think they're delicious. She's not a big fan of them. But I like them.
Don't love either, and I had a lot of sausage rolls already because that's kind of like what you eat in Scotland.
Well, no, it's not Scotland. That was in the not just in Scotland, but also in like the UK. Like if you think about it, when we were at the English Heritage in
also
Dover.
Purdue spelled it right. Beans with a Z.
Yeah, beans.
Yes.
Yeah, so when we were in like Dover, for instance, right, and we went to Dover Castle, English Heritage, like the options were like you can get a pasty, you can get like a sausage roll. Those were like two of the biggest options that you could get as like a lunch thing, right? So it was.
Lori Sims asks, I have often wondered what the heck people are doing out in the middle of the boondocks. They're eating Heinz baked beans out of a can. I think. I don't know. I actually don't. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what people eat sometimes.
The answer is Bush's baked beans.
In America.
You got to roll that beautiful bean footage.
To be clear, Bush's is not a brand in the UK. It's like an American brand.
I know, but
yeah.
Bush's baked beans.
Vienna sausage? Question mark? I don't think it was. Was it Vienna sausage? No, it was just sausage in a bun, heated up. Probably.
Not in a bun.
Yeah, it's kind of a bun.
It's a roll. It's like a flaky pastry. Like think of like biscuit.
Okay.
It's like pigs in a blanket. A little bit more.
Glenn wants to change the subject and says same great hikes east of Palm Springs along the San Andreas Fault. Yes, we really want to do that. Truly a great walk in an oasis 40 minutes outside of Palm Springs.
Huh. We're go check that out.
We're gonna check that out.
We're very excited to do the the gondola thing up to the top of the mountain that's right over there by Palm Springs, and you like walk around, you're in like pine forest and stuff like that.
As long as it's open.
We're super excited about that.
Have we looked up if that's running?
Pretty sure it is.
Okay. We're not 100% though.
I'm like 99.
Mark Smith, I am very pro English breakfast. But my
you
question...
prefer English breakfast over Scottish breakfast.
Yeah, because Scottish breakfast normally has haggis. Welsh breakfast also, you're going to find blood sausage for sure. Although
I really enjoyed Scottish breakfast.
I did like Welsh breakfast.
Well, they're also more likely to give you like the porridge.
Yeah, and they had, for some reason, like
Scotland does
the
that too,
meat
porridge.
at the places that we stayed at in Wales, it felt like all of the meat, regardless of time of day, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, just felt so fresh. But English breakfast, I will eat hands down. I really am interested to hear what you guys order for your eggs, because you get like different options and stuff. And because poached eggs are like so uncommon in the US, I typically ask for poached eggs as my English breakfast or Scottish breakfast, whatever option when I'm in the UK, just to like make it feel special.
Yeah. So
Eric B
Purdue
says he loves
says,
American breakfast.
yeah, scrambled eggs, bacon, and pancakes, delicious. Purdue is saying, what are those Cumberland sausages inside the roll? Question mark. They are ground a bit more coarse than the Vienna sausage we eat. Yeah, it is. It's kind of like a ground sausage type thing. It's not like a sausage, like a roll, it's not like a hot dog or a brat or something like that. It's like a ground sausage that the dough has been like wrapped around and baked in.
It's like almost like a croissant.
Yeah, like a
around the
croissant
sausage.
I think it's really good. I enjoy it. So
I
Lori,
love Phyllis Diller, Glen Camp. Yeah, that's funny. That's kind of like my cooking. Sorry, Lori said.
Lori is saying, take the cable car up to the top, but be sure to take a jacket because it is cold. Yes. Thank you for the tip. We will definitely do that. The cable car, I mean, it looks really cool, and I love those things, like when you take cable cars up and stuff like that, and like, you can get like really cool pictures and
We're
have a
just
blast.
excited because it seems like there's a lot of hiking options around Palm Springs.
And good restaurants.
And
Lots of good
hopefully
restaurants.
good restaurants, yeah. There's probably good restaurants here, including an Argentinian one, but we just haven't ordered
Glenn
from
agrees.
them.
English sausage rolls are great.
Yeah, there we go.
And
They're not bad.
and there's
Definitely
always
order them
spam.
if you go there. And they're cheap. They're usually like £2.50 or something.
Oh yeah, they're affordable.
Yeah.
And I enjoy them. So
There's always spam in Hawaii. I don't know if there's always spam everywhere.
there's always spam in my inbox. Always.
Good one. You're silly.
Email joke. Okay. So
Well, we've been on for about 3 hours, and we've been really having a great time hanging out with all of you guys. But I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't already watched my flight attendant Q&A video that I posted yesterday with Rachel, definitely watch that one. It's super fun and super informative. And I'm trying to convince her to do a second one because it's performed pretty well.
Yeah, and not only that, but also if you think about, like, you know, we have another vlog coming out this week.
Yep.
Probably this weekend.
I think Saturday morning is what I'm aiming for putting out on the next Portsmouth vlog. Yes, Purdue, hit the like button on this live stream if you haven't already and you're watching right now. It definitely helps support this channel and supports us and keeps us coming back and chatting with you guys. It's crazy that it's been a full year. I think we've done like 60-something live streams with you all, which is nuts that we've done that in the past 52 weeks.
Yep.
And we've just had such a great time connecting with everybody. We are going to be doing our next live stream on April 1st, Thursday.
April Fool's Day.
Yeah, April Fool's Day.
2021.
This is not a joke. This is actually going to happen. I'm going to put out the live stream in advance. So, like, I'm going to, like, put it up on YouTube. So, set a reminder by clicking. You can, like, I think when the live stream goes up, you can press a button that says, like, remind me that it's happening. So that way you guys aren't going to miss it. Because we definitely will want to reconnect with you all. Keep you posted about how our time in California has been going, what we've been up to. But in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of content, hopefully, that comes out on this channel between now and then. So I'm working on a ton of different videos, whether it's from the U.S. or from the U.K. or just travel-related stuff. If you
Tips,
have
tricks, and all that good stuff, too.
if you have travel stuff that you want to hear our opinions on, like packing tips or what we brought on this trip or whatever.
Things to do before a road trip.
Yeah, national parks info. Like, I mean, we want to serve you guys, and that's another huge reason of why we're going to be taking these next couple of weeks to focus on those videos for you all, because we want to be giving everybody the content that you guys really want.
Well, and that's helpful as you guys start to think
helpful.
about travel, because, you know, the thing that we are really recognizing right now is that there's a lot more people that are starting to travel, think about travel, etc., especially as more and more of the population gets vaccinated. it becomes a lot more, achievable for a lot of people. So we just want to make sure that we're providing you with the things that are most valuable.
Yeah. With that being said, we want to thank all of you guys for being such amazing members of this community and really helping us through the past year with COVID. It's crazy to be talking about the fact that like a year ago today is when we kind of got summoned back to the U.S.
As produced as happy birthday.
Yeah,
COVID.
happy birthday, COVID, in that way. But it's true, and so as hopefully more and more of us are finding ways to start exploring more, we want to be that channel that helps you out. So we're really glad to have been able to connect with everybody throughout this year-long journey.
Yeah.
And keep connecting on April 1st.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We've really enjoyed having you guys here, and we really appreciate you taking your time to be with us. So.
Yep. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We love you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.